My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. It is, by the way, Friday, November 7, 2025. It's 7:44 a.m. at what is 1630, which would be East Holt Boulevard, 6WMV899, 8NUB236. Stalking an impossible light with Southwest Airlines, which is the Ontario International Airport, all together stalking while the fake sun's over me on Holt Boulevard. 8PPD389, 9BYY803, 6HUM122, an impossible light, which is molesting me in the middle of the parking lot in the shade. 9JEL950, they're all inside of the building, representing a business that's gang stalking, doing so in concert with the city, a bunch of demons that maintain surveillance in an environment that is obvious and scientific impossibility. 8SWZ525, 7RMY996, and they make up a population of demons that are both intimidated and very hostile. As the terrorists last night engaged in assault and battery on behalf of all of them shows on the internet, where they're going to be prosecuted for acts of violence as terrorists, gang stalking on behalf of the government. All right, and engaging in ongoing gang stalking in furtherance of murder, while I am documenting that pattern of conduct with the airport. It is currently 7:45 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, I'm going to capture video if you'll recall. 0826, I believe this demon's name, badge number was, and his name, he stated, was Burtnick. If that's not correct, he'll be getting more federal charges for obstruction. But again, based on the entity and their illusions,
They're delusional also. The state actor that's making a series of admissions regarding engaging in criminal summoning pursuant to a pattern of conduct has no reason to lie, even though it is already clear through the circumstances that he's gang stalking just like the government is now. It is currently 7:46 a.m. That's stalking by planes that are doing so with simultaneity to my use of this device, and where engineered light is present, manifesting in the shade. This is the pattern of conduct where the entity is engaging in, like you heard yesterday, as I'm documenting, it becomes legally an admission. There will be no he said, she said. There will be no controversy regarding did this happen, did they do that, did they say that. There is an ongoing public investigation with regard to everyone witnessing the ongoing case being litigated, and it's also going to be in federal court. This is impossible light activity. It's also impossible light activity because the sun that's over me at what is Palm Avenue and F Street is not going to be on this side of the building, reflecting off of any side of the, first of all, the environment. Even if it was the sun, it's not, but the fake sun is here. If it was a natural environment, sunlight's not shooting downward and at a distance away. This is for the purposes of monitoring. The demons drive right into the parking lot. The demons stalk with amplified noise using planetary, like you heard. They do so while they're keeping you under surveillance, knowing what you're doing on your devices, even monitoring your genitalia. This is surveillance, not traffic. Making sure they stay in the path. And what are they doing? They, as demons, are stalking as a population. They engage in assault and battery with assault with a deadly weapon. USPS is going out of their way while the post office is closed, cross path. They're doing so under the fake sun. And they are monitoring with law enforcement. You already know that. This is the fake sun at 7:45 in the morning where I'm at F Street and Euclid Avenue. F Street and, go ahead, say. Where I'm at F Street and Palm Avenue, the entity is maintaining the fake sun. We're the Ontario International Airport. Like I stated, they are flying over that intersection at Las Palmas Medical Center, where that psychopath was stalking in the path with light. That's the ability to identify mental illness. The demons that are engaging in also criminal activity. And the entity has, at the same time, is coming into my presence when I'm actually exposing to you how you know the pattern of conduct is underway when LAPD has killed somebody on a skateboard in Los Angeles, which is also the specific environment. The entity, because they're not maintaining a cloudy day, I guarantee you they have a fake sun, and it's necessarily fake because the entity is keeping the fake sun over me while I am exposing the case against the state. You are witnessing how you are able to identify malicious conduct by a corrupt government that's engaged in surveillance and knows exactly where you are and what you're doing, even when they sound sirens to commit murder and get away with it, okay, under the cover of their position. And at 7:45, when I'm discussing the gang stalkers of Los Angeles, Burtnick is crossing path like this under a fake sun, which is not at Palm and F Street would be on this side of my person. This is excluding that. The entity is maintaining a fake sun, meaning as I move, that fake sun moves. But it is not in a position where I'm at over there while I am at that intersection of Las Palmas and the John S. Rossi, OD, the optometrist office, where this fake sun is also maintaining presence while he is in my face. That's a lying, mendacious state actor that's conspiring to murder, gang stalking, 9KHJ641. And this demon is admitting to engaging in criminal summoning, the purpose for, the reason for which he claims that he's in my presence. When he's gang stalking under that fake sun, the scientific impossibility that the sun is over 1630 in this manner, that sunlight creates what is manifested light in the middle of a shaded parking lot, and that would be the case while it's clearly over me at F Street and Palm. And I'm showing you where the entity is also identified as gang stalking, where that airport that is deviating. The airport drive is south of Holt Boulevard. This is Holt Boulevard. They're flying over Las Palmas, which is in that direction. There are no planes that are flying catty corner, which would be that would be northwest. Northwest to fly in that direction to be over Las Palmas, like I'm capturing. Like I'm capturing the entity gang stalking by planes like they are every day. You see southwest, I took the picture, they're flying right here west. The entity, you're going to look at the plane activity, and that's also how you're going to juxtapose what is the lying entity that has no legitimacy versus what the pattern of conduct speaks to. They're lying co-conspirators of murder. They're demons that are engaging in that pattern of conduct, and you will not get the truth out of them. You're going to prosecute them, and you're going to prosecute them with the facts of that pattern of conduct that never ceases to contradict itself. There are no anomalies. They're engaging that P.O.C. The Ontario Airport is gang stalking at that intersection, which is not speaking to what is a flight approach coming from Terminals 2 and Terminal 4, where Southwest Airlines is taking off here. But why are you hovering over the Ontario Town Square like you're taking off there? Why are you hovering over the parking lot at 434 North Euclid Avenue? Way down yonder, that would be northwest, and hovering like you're taking off in that parking lot. Where I'm hearing the plane activity and I'm looking at you hovering. Why are you doing that? And they're doing that over Las Palmas Medical at that intersection of Palm and F, and they're doing it at the same time. Not only do you know that that demon is lying, because I recorded everything that happened yesterday on my podcast where you can listen to it and it's going to be heard and replayed in federal court. With regard to federal prison, they also commit murders and they lie about the circumstances. Okay? That's what's relevant behind what is unlawful under all circumstances and mandating federal prison for gang stalking police officers who are mentally ill. Stalking in helicopters, stalking in police vehicles, engaging in surveillance and masquerading as law enforcement to get away with. That is providing a cover for engaging in criminal activity. Okay? It is currently 7:52 a.m. This is 1630 East Holt Boulevard. Gang stalking surveillance. There's a white male engaging in surveillance. I took pictures of him maintaining presence at third-party facilitating venue 1619 concrete protection. Remember, we're outside of daylight savings time, so it's 8:52 a.m. where I have already documented the fake sun being over me at this venue. They're surrounded with evidence. I'm already here at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the entity has the fake sun over me at the USPS. Okay? Over my head, targeting me with impossible light, just like what's on that concrete in the shade. They're targeting me inside of that post office because this is a pattern of conduct. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently 7:52 a.m. Alrighty, I'm capturing that video showing you the ongoing maintenance of a crime scene, moving where I move, which is speaking to stalking by that population including the Ontario Police Department, engaging what is threatening my life and safety and well-being, and doing so pursuant to what is an admitted iteration criminal summoning, while the Ontario International Airport is directly testifying to the fact that they're gang stalking. Okay, and so is the specific environment. The natural environment is just that. It's consistent, it's predictable, and the specific environment is that which is inconsistent. It is that which is tailored to what I do, when I do it, as I do it, and that is the environment that is conducive to surveillance, monitoring, stalking by a population. And that population are in the shoes of the government. They're not private citizens. You are not a private citizen. You are exercising no privacy rights, where you are engaging in the pattern of conduct, and the government's engaging in the pattern of conduct throughout the whole state. So where you live, you've been stripped of your privacy rights. There's no privacy rights while you're violating the privacy of another in concert with the government. And you can claim all day long, and which is because you're an ignoramus, and all it is an admission in court. I live here, thank you, noted. The facilitating venue is the defendant's place of residence. P.O.C. It's the same P.O.C. All right, the entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct and is doing so with the Ontario International Airport, which you can hear stalking. Okay, so this is that's United Airlines, by the way, that's gang stalking. And they're gang stalking in a manner that is inconsistent with the plane activity that you see while I am at Las Palmas and they're flying west over the Las Palmas Medical Center. All right, and that demon is perfectly aimed with her headlights. And she is stalking in concert with the people of the state, demons that are monitoring me and stalking with impossible light activity that's dragging across the buildings and the sidewalks. And they're doing so in concert with that population of demons that are taking off here over Holt Boulevard flying west. And this is the asininity of what the demons that are gang stalking in commercial planes do. They're always taking off, even when they're flying 3 to 6 miles away from the airport, and then rising in elevation like they are no matter whether it's on the grounds of the airport or whether it's west of this location at the Stater Brothers parking lot. So this is why you're looking at that pattern of conduct, and what is under all circumstances. Even this is the case speaking to the Ontario International Airport is stalking. They are unpersuasive and unintelligent. They've engaged in, and I've documented them acting like they are both landing and taking off miles away from any of the terminals where that's going to be the case. But you're also talking about what is the specific environment, which is prosecuting any and every means of criminal presence. They're engaging in this pattern of conduct outside of what they published literally on the website regarding flights as well. The entity is going to be prosecuted because regardless of elevation, it's surveillance. It's just that these demons engaged in what is stalking so heavily, they like to hover over the building. They like to hover next to the building. They like to hover over the property when they're stalking. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. But the entity is engaged in what is very unintelligent. And it's good that the demons of the Ontario International Airport, who are a threat to the public, engaged in that overly ambitious form of foolish means of stalking, because it is under all circumstances, regardless of the elevation, but you are also looking at that elevation because that's not a takeoff over the square. That's not a takeoff over Las Palmas. That's not a takeoff over Woodside Senior Apartments. That's not a takeoff over 325 West G Street over the 7-Eleven. Why are you at that elevation when United Airlines is acting like they're taking off from the same two terminals, Terminal 2 and Terminal 4? So how are you at those elevations miles away from the airport in a totally different direction? This is what they're doing. Remember, this is also what you're looking at. This is so idiotic, which is why I document what I find to be very stupid. It's stupid, and all I have to do is document so you can see the stupidity. The Ontario Airport is right here off of Airport Drive. Holt Boulevard is north of that Airport Drive. License plate 7LKC218. And while the entity is flying right here, United Airlines, they are flying away from, because that's the illusion that they're creating. Oh, that this is a takeoff right here at 1486 East Holt Boulevard. Okay, and they're doing so. The airport is at 2500 Airport Drive. The entity, while I'm at what is 1801 East G Street, you need to understand where the 10 freeway is, which is north. The entity is doing exactly what United Airlines and Southwest Airlines is doing. So how are you flying west adjacent to 1801 East G Street without flying north to get closer to the property and then hover down again like an idiot who's being documented while doing that, and then acting like you're taking off there? Meaning you necessarily deviated, meaning you're deviating from what is a takeoff from the airport, where no takeoff from the airport going in the direction west is going to be hovering next to 1801, where I'm looking at it in the courtyard and that fake sun's over the top of my head. That's the level of analysis that the demon-possessed that are unintelligent, the dummies that want to engage in assault and battery because they feel stupid and they're embarrassed and they're exposed for engaging in terrorism. This is no small thing. You're going down for terrorism and conspiracy to murder, because that's why you're gang stalking. Gang stalking is the evidence of conspiring murder. And the city of Ontario is doing that while the airport's engaged in gang stalking. But that's the level of analysis. But I want to be clear, LAX, that's gang stalking me while the fake sun's over my apartment and remaining until sunset. LAX is gang stalking while they're not hovering over my apartment building. They're not dumb like the demons of the city of Ontario. They maintain criminal presence, however, and it's not going to be limited to your elevation. It's relevant to all means of criminal presence. And that airport is engaged in surveillance where they are in relevant position, the zone of relevant positioning. You can see it. They are monitoring you. You're under surveillance, especially while you see a fake sun over your home. And that fake sun does not move. It sets it over you at your home, which is what I documented LAX engaging in. In concert with LAPD, that made it even more abundantly clear that they are indeed keeping me under surveillance. While you're looking at plane activity, which LAX has maintained over that hillside outside of my living room window, and is doing so with regard to flights and the conduct of the airport, that they are routinely not, there is nobody that's maintaining any sort of check. They're just engaging in all manner of conduct with these planes and takeoffs like the city of Ontario. This is going to change. This is going to change. But the entity's engaged in what is just maintaining whatever they want to do with the planes. Nobody's maintaining any sort of check regarding what they're doing as they're taking off. You have protocol with regard to the operations, but there is no oversight regarding what they are actually doing with regard to what are these planes doing, flying and then making U-turns, going back to the what are these test runs? These are test runs that are coincidentally monitoring me in the specific environment. These are the LAX that's maintaining an airport, and they're flying over the hillside. I'm curious to know what flights from LAX are including flying over that hillside, which is where the entity is maintaining that specific environment. But this is, again, the entity that's going to be prosecuted with facts and information, not just engaging in what is abuse of positions and having free-form conduct of an airport that it's not accustomed to being kept under some sort of monitoring system to see what they're doing. Nobody's doing that. And you know why? Because everybody's gang stalking. This is corruption. That's why. That's why. Okay, the entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, and that's a level of analysis. It's not based on elevation. However, the long-term surveillance of the Ontario airport in furtherance of murdering me, pursuant to a pattern of conduct of targeting me in the city, is relevant to the ways in which they're engaging. There's 2 terminals. You can look up this Ontario International Airport. You can look up the maps. You can look up the address where they're supposedly taking off. And you're talking about what is by necessity not a takeoff. And you are, by virtue of that very clear evidence, you're necessarily flying away from that airport. But at the same time, you want to maintain that Delta Airlines is not targeting, and that company is not engaged in targeting at all. They have passengers aboard, and they're flying over what is flying over you, coincidentally having nothing to do with you, and that's supposed to mean that you're a paranoid schizophrenic, when actually the logical breakdown, and also relevant to what is the definition of what a paranoid schizophrenia actually is, you're talking about the facts and circumstances demonstrating that there is a deviation from what a takeoff from the airport would consist of, and it would not consist of you miles away from that airport still hovering in the sky space. So this is where elevation does become a part of the analysis of the city of Ontario that used the airport to gang stalk me. That's where that's relevant. LAX is not hovering over my apartment. They're stalking, though. They're gang stalking. They're maintaining surveillance. They're maintaining commercial flights around the perimeter of the apartment, specifically along the hillside. And even that is something to look into, because I'm curious to know, and whether it is or not, whether you have flights that included the path where you're taking off from the airport and they're still engaging in surveillance, but it does include the path where they're flying over that hillside, whether it does or not. I would surmise that it doesn't. But regardless, it's in the specific environment. That's how this pattern of conduct exists. You're gang stalking me while you're on the job. That fake son, that crime scene comes with me to where you work. So it's not even based on the fact of you actually having a flight in process, or whether you're just a stalker having access to a whole bunch of planes and you fly them about every 35 to 90 seconds where I'm at while fake son is over me. Both are evidence of criminal surveillance. Understand that. Some are more dumb than others. Some are less subtle, if you will. Some are very slow on picking up on the fact that you're going to get caught for this. The entities engaging in that pattern of conduct and LAX's tactic with regard to Ontario International Airport's tactics are both relevant to what is gang stalking. They're in the specific environment. Science is going to serve to prosecute the fact that I'm being targeted in the sky space using planes and helicopters, because the entity is gang stalking also with the targeting entity that's using the helicopters of that corrupt agency. All right, Dominic Choi, that's flying over my apartment, making it very clear that it is the focus, even more so than, well, not more so, but equally, the fake son is indicating, and also the gang stalking by helicopter, flying right over my apartment, doing so day and night, targeting with what is amplified audible activity, the spectacular light activity inside of my apartment in Los Angeles. I want to be clear, these demons in Ontario, it's been over. They've been engaged in and committed assault with a deadly weapon last night, pursuant to a long documented pattern of conduct that they never should have started when I came back to Ontario. They should have left it alone then. It was already a case that's complete, but they should have left it alone then, because they have not been considering what is a case in court. No witchcraft is going to avoid that. No witchcraft is going to make you look like anything other than what you clearly look like to the rest of the world, and the whole world is not a paranoid schizophrenic. Everybody sees you're stalking, and they also know what the definition of paranoid schizophrenia is. You can look it up. Look it up. It has a definition. All right, the entity is engaged in what is living amongst and creating illusions. Your spell work is ineffective. Okay? I bind it. It's already bound up. In Jesus' name, it's not working, and you're going to prison. This is P.O.C. The entity stalking with commercial planes, and United Airlines, that's the logo that I'm capturing, engaging in what is this, again, as implausible as the fake sun being over me at the UPS. Excuse me, I'm not at UPS, at the USPS postal office. And I'm doing so while the entities, what is this over my head? And it's still over my head at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Outside of daylight savings time, that would have been 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That duration of time is still inexplicable. The sun is never in Florida while it's remaining over me, as evidence shows, at the United States Postal Service at 1555 East Holt, where, again, the inability to trust and the necessity of changing the system of what is surveillance. The fact that the government is maintaining surveillance is speaking to the fact that these undercover gang stalkers of the corrupt police departments are not to be given the discretion, that unfettered discretion that they're given. That in and of itself, in addition to the fact that I'm capturing the evidence that shows that that demon's a liar, okay? He's a liar. And the entirety of that crime scene and the maintenance of this pattern of conduct in a totally different location. The fake sun that's hovering there over me while I'm at Palm and F Street is not hunkered down over in alignment while they're driving and sunlight is reaching and ricocheting off and it's over 1630 East Holt Boulevard, just moving again as I move. If I go to the city of Fontana, you know where it's going to be? Because it's not in the city of Fontana. It's not going to be on the bus headed to Fontana while it's sitting there at that intersection where demons are stalking and claiming that they got a phone call by the demons who are gang stalking the people of the state. And it's good that you understand that because that's a conspiracy to murder together and they're going to federal prison together. The way in which their system operates. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently 8:06 a.m. License plate 9RYW888 and 9GAW538. This is P.O.C. Okay, that population of unintelligent minions, they engage in appropriating stalking to whatever the target individual is doing. So you have the fake sun over the post office, which is still here after 3 in the afternoon. This is stalking. So everybody's coming with a package. Everybody's got something they need to do. Everybody needs to get to the post office while the fake sun's in an entirely different location prosecuting the people of the state. 9BSE407, 9RYW888, 9GAW538, 272410. That's an Illinois plate, a white male. Gang stalking by walking in and out. This is demonic pacing. It is replete with impossible light that's on the inside of the post office room with on the floor. You can see the extensive covering over the entrance of 1555 East Holt Boulevard. That's impossible light activity. It's also impossible light activity while the entity has the fake sun over the Ontario Town Square, which would be on the exact opposite side of this building while it's hovering, where the Ontario International Airport is maintaining flights as though they're taking off here at off of Holt Boulevard, and they're also hovering over 224 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun is advanced beyond this building, and the fake sun would not be here. And remember, the fake sun is not the explanation for that light that's reaching underneath an extensive covered structure where the sun's not beside us. The sun doesn't shoot laser light into buildings and create multiple shadows and mirages of light on the wall and in the corners and on the ceiling. This is where they're walking in systematically monitoring. And the United States Postal Service is engaging in that pattern of conduct. The United States Postal Service is the federal government that's gang stalking, by the way. And for the United States Postal Service to be a facilitating venue is to prosecute the government. Okay, that's the entity that's engaging that together, that unintelligent system. You can see it. I take a picture of a demon. He focuses his attention on the self-service system. The demons are in the parking lot. All right, they're monitoring while I'm recording. These are obsessed stalkers. These are, again, the hollowed out zombies. Oh, they're being dead. I'm being facetious a little bit, but this is how dead they actually are. All they are demonic spirits that are obsessively stalking, even while the evidence of them stalking is being captured, and their eyes, mouth open, eyes closed, hollowed out, still stalking, and doing so in that environment, okay? Walking around and doing so where the entity is what? Focusing that plane activity, which are not takeoffs. And that plane activity, which are not takeoffs, are happening what? Where the fake sun is located. And I even go to the extent to show you at what is at the same time impossible to coexist. Not only that, because the entity is maintaining the fake sunrise and sunset over the OVITT Family Community Library. I engage in one deviation, such as going to 1555 East Holt Boulevard, which is not over and next to, adjacent to, going to be seen by some sort of illusion whereby I can see it over the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library inside of the parking garage of downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, and that's why it's over here as well, because you can see that. As a matter of fact, as much as you travel, it's just perpetually staying in front. No, that's the entity's fake sun. That's a fake sun. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 8:12 a.m. These are these demons engaging in gang stalking together. They all committed assault with a deadly weapon. Okay, they share that mental illness. Don't think that it's because she's black. Don't think that it's because she was documented and that's why she freaked out. No. It's not a race thing. It's not a race thing. These demons are sitting around stalking, like they are here. This is pathetic. They sit in a parking lot obsessively stalking. They equally share in animosity. They share in envy because they're hellbound demons. They're vagina monitoring gargoyle, light slinging demons that are engaged in what is now they're monitoring their own demise. You want to stalk and watch so much, you're going to watch and stalk your own destruction. That's what you're watching now. And they're very angry about that. This is just breaking down their behavior. And this lily white man is as evil and psychotic as that black woman that was engaging in attacking me with a vehicle last night. You need to understand that they share that same criminal activity, that pattern of conduct, and they share the same mental illness. Okay, they are envy because of what is their destiny versus mine. What it is that I've done, exposing what they're doing. And it's not different. They share a pattern of conduct, and under the law, it's not different. Okay, the two robbers that are both got guns in hand, they go into the bank robbing together. They share in that criminal execution of what is a violent crime. All right, and they're both going down for any and everything that happens for XOH 432, which is reasonably to occur from that inherently violent crime. Okay, 9 EER 377. Omnitrans is crossing path and the fake sun's not remaining in the window of that vehicle. Omnitrans is targeting as I'm taken to this destination. Omnitrans route 83 is gang stalking as you're looking at me at the Ontario Town Square documenting being targeted at the Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue, while the entity is maintaining plane activity over the center of that property. Okay, so now their flight is, and this is all the ways in which you're going to prosecute, because you're able to clearly see what is the evidence of targeting. Very unintelligent, never designed to be scrutinized, and clearly a system of corruption from the top to the bottom, where these demons maintain a hierarchy with those that are just getting paid more than others to engage in a system of corruption. The Nephilim. Okay, they're doing so pursuant to what is a readily identifiable pattern of conduct. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 8:14 a.m. License plate 4XOH 432. Yeah, they're pacing in and out, and they're doing so with regard to the fake sun that's over the venue. This is again that surveillance that's over. There is no duration of time that's ever going to result in the sun being over the same property parking lot, like I'm capturing at OVITT Family Community Library every day. That's going to be over the same parking lot or building until you're talking about 6 hours, 5-6 hours from now. That's not the natural environment. That these demons are surrounded with what is very obvious evidence of targeting. And as I've shown you, it is evident in the environment, okay? And then you're paying attention to they're walking in the engineer light. That's what they're doing inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, where impossible light activity reaches into the depths of that library. They're walking all over it. They're stalking. And they're very unintelligent. And you are able to see the mental illness that the demon-possessed don't want you to know about. While they're walking and a fake sun is aiming into the depths of that library at 5 and 6 in the evening, you're looking at the evidence of their mental illness. You're looking at the evidence of their obsession with me. Okay, and their obsession, both girls and boys, is because they're demons. It's 8:16 a.m. This is P.O.C. Engaging in surveillance in the parking lot is, again, that Illinois plate 272410. And this is a demon very likely relying on what is legally irrelevant and what will be used to prosecute. Oh, I'm always going to the post office. I have a business and I'm making all manner of shipments where I'm making a lot of money, and I'm always here. Even when the target individual, you're gang stalking right now, and you're gang stalking pursuant to what is the legally irrelevant cause for what you think that there's a reason for being criminally in the path on behalf of the state, and there isn't. There is no warrant of probable cause, and nobody cares about your little raggedy business, because it's clearly not that well while you're still stalking me, okay? Why aren't you minding your business instead of gang stalking? Because that's what you're doing under the fake sun. The entity's going to prosecute based on that, but this is what the entity does. Oh, I'm always here. I'm routinely here. I work here. Okay, same argument. You're going to be prosecuted. Surveillance license 272410 FP. That's an Illinois plate. Engaging in what is use of the communication device. This is maintaining surveillance on behalf of gang members of the Ontario Police. Okay, gang members of the Ontario International Airport. Doing so while that evidence of that fake sun is there, and that is also surveillance. Demons are pacing in and out of the venue, and demons are maintaining surveillance. So this is license 9GAW538 and 8RWV736. All right, 9GAW538 is the Asian male. He's sitting there crouched in front, and you'll see the engineer light on the inside. That light is not only appearing underneath the structure, the entrance area, which is going to be shaded, especially when the fake sun is over me outside of my living room window in Los Angeles. But it's also going to be shaded based on the covering and the doors that they're also reaching through in order to this all manner of gymnastic coming underneath the coverage of the walkway where it's designed for shade. And then you have what is the the doors and themselves, the thick bottom doors, and I'll take another, well, I took a picture of it, and it's like the light is reaching under, in order for it to be there, this is what the light is necessarily doing, doing gymnastic to jump over what light is not piercing through in order to appear on the floor on the inside. And then you have a psychopath that keeps their back to you. They're stalking, making sure that there's no corner where you're left abandoned with regard to stalking in the path, where demons are monitoring it. That's what that's about, making sure that they are in the path. And they do that in that engineer light. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently 8:18 a.m. Alrighty, you'll see that demon with the Illinois license plate drive off at what is 8:19 a.m., monitoring and doing so. And what you'll also pay attention to is the identification of someone that is targeting another, because that fake sun remains over me, and it is the direct opposite. When I'm in a vehicle driving off, that fake sun moves as I move, and you are not experiencing the same thing when I'm looking at it stationary and you're driving away. The entity is engaging in what is stalking with the fake sun, and it is impossible, as you are looking at my evidence, that the people of the state are in the same position as I am in, while that fake sun is clearly remaining stationary. This is an entity that's going to be prosecuted through its psychopathic illusions that it operates by while they are stalking somebody. Their illusions is not only evidence of their mental illness, but it's evidence of their criminal activity. All right, this is P.O.C. and that fake sun remains stationary for other demons to replace. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct. It's shared by a population of demons. License 6XOD324 P.O.C.
Monday, which is the 10th. The latest it'll probably be is that Wednesday, because Tuesday's a holiday, okay? So it'll be $3.28. And you won't be able to track it though, okay? You're welcome.
Good morning.
Hello, how may I help you?
My name is Erica Spencer, and I just want to see if I have any mail. I get what is it called? General delivery.
So when did you do it to start coming towards here? You know how long ago you put the change of address in?
October.
Oh, okay,
She
yeah.
told me, well, I was told some helpful information that if as long as I keep coming to check it, actually, she said to keep coming to check it, and that my mail was going to be forwarded here and all that. So.
Okay, yeah, we can check and see.
Okay. Anyway, you need my ID?
Yes.
There you go.
Let me check for you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. All right, the third party with the license plate 9GAW with the white Tesla. He's maintaining presence in the path in that engineer light until the entity opens up this front area. This is maintenance of presence. All right, and this is an entity that knows who you are. You're asking me for my name under the fake sun and an engineer light while the entity is keeping me under surveillance. While USPS is gang stalking outside of the USPS Postal Service, but nonetheless, it's audible activity. This is P.O.C. The entity engaged in what is interfering with my mail. This is federal violation of the law as well. And this is all monitoring in addition to that.
while I'm talking, while I'm at this venue. It's all monitoring. P.O.C.
There you are.
Thank you, ma'am. Oh, wait, is this something that tells me that I need to do? Oh, it's just confirmation.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't need to do any.
So, honey, let you open it up.
Well, if it says verification required, does that mean I need to do something to you?
Yeah,
That's what I did with the other lady, though. That's
well,
what I'm
then it
saying.
might be in there.
Extended mail forwarding.
Yeah, so they just let you know that your change of address, which is in general
Went through,
delivery,
right.
went through.
Okay, that's what I need. Thank you. Have a good day. All right, surveillance at the self-service. That's the same demon with the blue scrubs. That's a female maintaining presence for crossing path. The engineer light that was on the inside, while by Asian female, the Asian male was driving the white Tesla. Okay, but actually, I'm actually not sure about her her race. She's wearing blue scrubs though. License 35209J1. License 9UEL410. License 8RWV736. And it is currently, by the way, the self-serve is literally stalking in the path. That's all it is. It's 8:36 a.m. and 7YQR141. The line inside of the office, the room, or the post office, is stalking in the path. Okay, so the entity goes from, again, if I go into some place that's low on business, business immediately picks up. Okay, that's another reason why you're going to prosecute with regard to a federal RICO case, just because of the absurdity of making money because they're gang stalking and they go and just maintain presence and they go and make purchases. And they also, again, the false premise that, oh, I'm here buying something, so I'm not stalking you. That's totally irrelevant. But this is how this entity thinks, okay? But they are not thinking. That's totally unintelligent. They were definitely not prepared for a prosecution for exposure. They planned on spell work. They planned on voodoo being effective. And gang stalking me was just going to traumatize me to the extent and make me appear as though I'm some mentally ill person. That's imagining. Imagining all the lies, imagining malicious behavior, imagining being targeted day and night, flying over the top of my head by helicopters. So we're all imagining that together, America. We're all imagining that together, listeners. So this is what the entity of demons would call that we're all paranoid schizophrenics, okay? Those are the unintelligent, the ones that are keeping you under surveillance that they want to be you, and that's why they defame your character. And that's the character of Satan. Will literally speak lies that knows that there's not even any evidence of, because that is also a mentally ill spirit. Okay, that's literally it. But in court, it's hollow. It rings hollow, and it's not going to work. And that's what Satan can't deal with which is facts. And there's no spell work getting out of that. Okay, it is currently 8:38 a.m. License 7GWY585. They're getting in line behind. This is an African American female. You can see her. Because I took images of them. And the entity is engaged in. I'm not receiving any mail. In other words, I haven't received any mail other than the confirmation that I have general delivery. So this is on the record. USPS, the entity engaged in a pattern of interfering with my state and federal rights regarding my mail.
keeping me under surveillance, harassing me like I documented UPS. No, that was FedEx. Engaged in, I did document UPS. I had a UPS box, and they were monitoring my mail. But nonetheless, when you're being gang stalked, the entity is harassing you in every aspect of your life. If there's something that they want to interfere with, like you're supposed to be getting a package at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. In fact, you paid for that. The entity engaging in what is harassing you by some sort of delay. And the ability to just say, oh, well, we had traffic. We had some sort of malfunction. It's held up at the facility. We're backed up with delivery. The entity's targeting. It's targeting. The entity that's monitoring your genitalia is controlling those circumstances, and that is literally the case. 9TYK171. This is a vehicle with a, it looks like they drove it off of the parking lot. This is in anticipation of being documented, and you're going to prosecute Mark Christopher, the car dealership, a third party. But that's what they're using to engage in what is presence in the path. These are demons that are gang stalking. They're monitoring, and they're monitoring evidence. But this this is a white Equinox, looks like a demon that works at a car dealership, or a demon that has a connection with a demon at a car dealership, is using a vehicle with a license plate that's going to be associated with a gang stalking car dealership. You can get it however you want. All right, it's P.O.C. The same demons at the USPS are being prosecuted, and the entity is gang stalking. This is the prosecution of the state, while the entity has a fake sun over the post office, and it's remaining next to the clock at the Ontario Town Square. Yesterday, it's remaining over me at Palm and F Street. This is not that, and it's not. Remember, when I remained at the bus stop until after 9 a.m. last week, the entity kept the fake sun right there over Bethel Congregation. It's 8:40 a.m. right now. The entity has it over me at 1555 East Hall Boulevard, and you're looking at light. That's supposed to be sunlight while it's over Bethel Congregation at the same time. Hovering over that venue, the entity's engaged in what is stalking with the fake sun. And they're very highly unintelligent when that terrorism is documented. And it's inexplicable by NASA, and it's inexplicable in court. Okay? P.O.C. That's audible activity. All demons are facing activity. That's Southwest Airlines. All right, that's P.O.C. license plate 903. All right, 8ZYS 903. Moving around in the parking lot, just moving from place to place in the parking lot, monitoring and pacing going into the entrance. And the African American female, that's the federal government that's engaged in surveillance with the state. Okay, and I want to be clear, the entity that's stalking as an airport is providing ongoing confirmation that the federal government is engaged in what is targeting me at the United States Postal Service. While the entity is engaging, the city of Ontario, the entity is stalking by the airport. This is how, again, fools are serving what are the purposes of this prosecution to their own demise, right? P.O.C. You'll see the images of all of that coexisting with the absence of the fake sun. And demons that are very hostile, they're so frustrated they want to hit you with their car, they'll engage in more damning behaviors, such as feigning a takeoff right here at the building right in front of me while they listen to that damning evidence. And a psychopath just engages in more of it. Oh, I'm so mad at you, because you're so smart. I'm going to take off right here with another plane, stalking you, providing evidence that we're stalking you, doing so not coincidentally in that specific environment while you're pointing out damning evidence about us stalking you. We're going to do more of it. Those are the demon possessed. All right, it's currently, by the way, 8:42 a.m. where the entity has the fake sun over HOLT Boulevard, where the entity is feigning takeoffs. This is exactly what is the crime scene at Ontario Town Square, where Securitas is gang stalking me with the city of Ontario. He's going to prison. He's going to prison while he's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and doing so while monitoring evidence in an effort to obstruct justice. So harassing me is their effort of obstructing justice. These are psychopaths, so they're just rude. They engage in petty theft, blowing debris on you while you're gang stalking as a landscaper. Sitting around stalking you at the desk in the library all day long while you're subject to an ongoing incessant battery while they're monitoring you because they're mad at the evidence you're uploading. Engaging in what is harassing you, trying to hit you with their car because you're mad that you're a loser. And I mean a loser. Like Jim Carrey's breakdown of a loser. Have you seen that movie, Loser? You are a loser for real. And this is what you don't want to lose at. You don't want to lose in a federal case for terrorism. You don't want to lose at that, and you did. You lost years ago, by the way. You lose so bad because of all the criminal acts that you've committed in order to avoid this very circumstance. You lose because of that. Because none of that's a mystery either. What the entity did to obstruct justice for a term of years. All right? You're going to prison for that. You're being shut down as an airport for that. You're going to be prosecuted as a terrorist for that. You're going to be diagnosed as mentally ill, a dangerous psychopath, based on the threat to national security, while you're targeting me as I'm representing what is an American citizen that's subject to targeting by you and a corrupt government. For that. Okay? It's currently 8:44 a.m. This is 1555 East Holt Boulevard, where the entity has the fake sun over me in the middle of the afternoon. Where you're looking at the entity stalking as an airport, that fake sun over me at this same venue. The entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct while they're monitoring the evidence as well. So that's relevant to the entity that's hostile and engages in more violence, because that's what that is, while they are exposed for the P.O.C. And it's exposed whether I reminded you about that right now or not. They are inherently inferior, okay? 6XWM389. That's 6XWM389. 8GCS121. You also know that they're inferior because a whole population of them are stalking me. A whole population of them. A whole population of them. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:45 a.m. Alrighty, Griffith and Sunbelt, they're monitoring. This is light activity, so they're using their activity as a means of stalking with noise. The moment that I press record, the vehicle starts beeping. There's psychopaths that look focused on their activity, and their real focus is me, and this is the evidence of it. Here's the fake sun over me at Cardenas at 720 Holt Boulevard. The entity has the fake sun over me as I documented after going to the library. So I documented the fake sun over the entrance of the library. The library opens at 10 o'clock. Before then, I was remaining at the Ontario Town Square where it's 9:19 a.m. And with sun over the Ontario Town Square, there's not going to be any light activity contrary to what you see here. You see, this is how you're understanding that there's psychopaths. Those are demons that are wearing hard hats. Those are demons that are stalking, doing so under business names. They're losing their licensure. This is in furtherance of murder. It's exposing mental illness, very psychopathic behavior, okay? And it's all state action. The fake sun is over me at this Cardenas, at this entrance as I captured in images, where I am molested with impossible light. That's manipulation is monitoring you, and that they're not ignorantly engaging in what is an ongoing, routinely documented pattern of conduct. It's also demonic. Like I stated, demons do not have a heritage or a race or have any linguistic barriers. Those demons that are non-English speaking are monitoring and know exactly what I'm stating as well. Know what I'm doing, know where I'm at. The evidence of what is a scientific impossibility that the sun would be over the same building like I'm documenting as I came to this venue after 10 o'clock in the morning at around 11, and it is currently 9:20 a.m. I'm capturing this video starting at 9:18 a.m. and I'm also reminding you about the Ontario Police Department gang stalking me with this fake sun over my head adjacent to the clock at the Ontario Town Square, which would be in that direction. You see it reflecting off of the passenger side of their car, meaning it's not on the opposite side of their vehicle over me next to the clock at the Ontario Town Square. While they're stalking, they are serving their own demise. 9TTY 719. If they're not natural born citizens, if they're gang stalking immigrants, they are terrorists that are going to be subject to deportation. All right, this is serving that P.O.C. You're walking in and out under the fake sun. You're pacing, actually. These are demons that don't want you to know about their character, don't want you to know about their criminal activity. And you all know about it. This is psychopathic pacing. 9HYE073, like cockroaches scattering in engineer light. 6ALS061. And there is no difference with regard to what color or race or language you speak. You will be treated uniformly under federal law. Domestic terrorists, however, that are not natural born citizens, you're being shipped out of here. Okay? This is P.O.C. and that's any person that's not a natural born citizen, not just the Latino race. There are Africans, there are Haitians, there are El Salvadorians. You have what is all manner of those that are coming from other corners of the world, and they're in America targeting American citizens in furtherance of murder. And they're doing it in the absurd manner that I'm showing you the people of the state. Sunbelt to gang stalker, I've been documenting them for years. And they facilitate terrorism while they're gang stalking with the people of the state. And this is all sponsored by the government. These are demons. This is demonic activity. And you are looking at an illusion while they're wearing hard hats, digging up the ground, creating and building beautiful things, all right, that are ostensibly benefiting the public, they're gang stalking right now. This is P.O.C. They're walking in Engineer Light, push shopping carts in Engineer Light under a fake sun. The demons of the Ontario Police Department are engaging in this gang violence, which is going to serve for disbanding in federal prison. Okay? Impossible Light moving across. 8 UJP 623, a demon that knows who I am, regardless of what language they speak. 5737083, a demon that knows who I am, regardless of what language they speak. Okay? And that's stationary Impossible Light activity, while they are creating what is dynamic. First of all, this isn't the sun. Okay. Second of all, when you're driving under the sun, it doesn't cause that light. That's also how you know that they're targeting. Okay. The signature of targeting is the certifiable conduct. They're going to mental asylums. And then you're going into, which is incriminating CARDENAS. This is mental illness though. This is behavior. They're going to mental asylums. They're going to be committed and put in federal prison. They're doing so in furtherance of murder. That's a psychopath and that's a demon possessed person. Then walking in Engineer Light monitoring system map, P.O.C. This is your neighborhood CARDENAS that's engaged in monitoring American citizens, engaging in what is criminal activity, making it an enemy of the United States, not different from every other venue. P.O.C. Targeting with the Ontario Police, that's fine, federal prison. They're all going 09558Z3. Sunbelt, targeting with the Ontario Police, who know I just captured damning video. This fake sun is not adjacent to the Ontario Town Square. They're stalking me, flying over my head because what I'm uploading on the internet. Mike LORENZ is going to federal prison. You're going to federal prison. While you're engaged in what is assault with a deadly weapon on behalf of those gang leaders, they're going to federal prison. This is the mental illness, though. That's the maniacal psychopath. As I draw it out, while they're triggered by the truth of what I speak. Belt, let me show you. This is P.O.C. And that's a psychopath. That's federal prison. One with this little fake-looking Hulk Hogan. He's gang stalking with the Ontario Police, hostile about what I just captured over the CARDENAS, where you see it right here. This is not over the Ontario Town Square at the same time. Mike LORENZ is a gang leader, engaged in gang violence, and you're going to prison for it. It's terrorism in the United States. And the entire immigrant population is subject to deportation because of it. You are not coincidentally flying over my head, stalking me again in a helicopter, doing so for any other purpose other than conspiring my murder, after having already stolen my property and my money, criminally defaming my character when there is not one iota of any inkling or hint or history regarding mental illness. In fact, the demon that's stalking in a helicopter is the one that's going to be subject to what are mental examinations, and the entity is doing so as a documented act of obstruction of justice. Doing so while you're monitoring Title 18 federal stalking, 22618 subsections 1 and 2, just like at the Ontario Town Square. And it's not over 720 East Holt, over my head, as I'm capturing video while it's over the Ontario Town Square where that demon is flying over my head, that agency, Mike LORENZ, who's going to federal prison. Engaging in retaliation while they're engaging in surveillance. That's not a coincidence. And Sunbelt is a terrorist. The gang stalkers of Church's Chicken, did you know that they're monitoring American citizens while they're serving you chicken? That's a demon. Okay, the entity's engaging in that and they're hostile. Guess what? You can be hostile and you're still going to prison. 5GRG 523. They engaged in assault with a deadly weapon as well last night. That's what you need to connect to the gang stalking that I'm documenting, that the entity is committing against me. The Ontario Police Department is going to federal prison for it. That's gang violence and furtherance of murder. This is P.O.C. and they go to the extent to be captured on video. With the gang stalking immigrants, those that are natural born citizens, any and all of them are being deported. This is P.O.C. and this is how they're serving their own demise when their mental illness starts working against them. P.O.C. It's currently 9:27 a.m. Helicopter activity after I'm capturing video that the demons are sitting around watching and hostile to. Engaging in stalking me by helicopter, engaging in assault with a deadly weapon, the same acts of violence upon documentation, which that's the impermissible threat. You're going to prison for that. P.O.C. P.O.C. circling over the square, 9NKM097, 6Z32151. I just want to be clear, this is the population sentiments toward the U.S. You already know that agency, they're engaged in stalking. Burtnick is going to prison. He's gang stalking under the fake sun. And that's the agency that claims that the people of the state called them lying about something that you engage. That's how they engage in what is criminals summoning together and furtherance of murder while they're gang stalking you. And now the entity is circling over this location. What do you have in common? The fake sun over me. It's 9:28 a.m. This is the entity that's gang stalking, operation of communication device, don't have to speak with you, stalking you with Impossible Light while the entity is a helicopter. Okay, didn't go anywhere in the previous video, stalking in the path and using a helicopter to do so is the certifiable conduct. So on the roads and the highways as a population is certifiable conduct. They're going to be prosecuted and mentally assessed. That's the routine prosecution for terrorists in the United States. License 7WQM293. When you're engaged in psychopathic behavior like stalking with light, it's going to be routine with regard to being included in your assessment. 71364B4, 7LUW483. Like I said, this is surveillance. It's not traffic. And this is the communication of how they actually feel. These are the domestic enemies that I told you that they are. Enemies of the United States. Attacking and targeting American citizens. Kidnapping them together. And then engaging in acts of violence when you expose it. They murder people. They kidnap people. They bear false witness. They summon the gang stalking, the terrorist leaders to commit murder. And then they cover up that crime. They're going to federal prison. They're being prosecuted. This is the prosecution of the U.S. government that's engaging in the P.O.C. in California. And the X790NO is going to be published on a list so that you can look up terrorists like this who will not be able to receive government assistance. They will not be able to apply for any job documented as a terrorist. And you're talking about what is federal prison, by the way, regard to gang stalking with the police. When they're engaged in those elements together, that's federal prison. Okay, that's an impermissible threat posed by the entity. These are not private citizens. They're going to be prosecuted. Church's Chicken, Cardenas is still monitoring. Okay, the gang stalking, the Latino culture, they're inside of that grocery store fuming because of what I documented. And I want to be clear, it's not going to help you with regard to whether you're a gang stalking immigrant, you're being deported. Okay, all you're doing is demonstrating your unworthiness to be in this country. While I'm documenting ongoing terrorism because of your mental illness, you do not understand, nor can you recognize, nor do you appreciate under the law, federal law, whereby you've been given a privilege to be here, gang stalking with the government. That's the revocation of that presence here. It's a privilege. And they're targeting while you're exposing that. You're going to prison, and then you're going to be shipped out of here. 9RWV151, 93958W2. And gang stalkers of the Ontario Police, any of them that are immigrants, they're being deported. I mean, the demon-possessed gang stalking terrorist leader, down to the demons that are gang stalking of the pet services department of any police department, you're being deported. You're being treated just like every other terrorist. This is P.O.C. That's the entity engaging what is gang stalking, 9:30 a.m., not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. That's why they circle right back around to engage in another iteration of the pattern of conduct. That's Union Pacific, under the fake sun, monitoring on the railroad tracks. That's relevant to interstate commerce. This is still federal stalking under Title 18. This is the comprehensive prosecution of a bunch of demons who have been intellectually outmaneuvered. And you're going to be kicked out of this country as well. This is P.O.C. It's 9:31 a.m. License 7BFK494, 9VFP914. And the demons that are engaged in what is a documented act of retaliation upon keeping the evidence against them under surveillance for acting in furtherance of murder, gang stalking, equipment share. The phone number is 888-80-RENTS. And the Indiana license plate is 3905679. This is federal prison for all of them, by the way. They're wearing Griffith Company vests. They're engaging in what is light activity, stalking in the path, monitoring while I'm inside of Cardenas. License 08266Y3. That's Griffith Company. Their California license that they're going to use, California license 88. Yeah, I just documented the evidence regarding permanent loss of that license with regard to what is terrorism, and then threatening my life with the terrorist leader themselves, the ones that commit kidnapping and defame your character and engage in what is murder as an entity, gang stalking police. Okay, P.O.C. The video you just listened to is the evidence of these demons with these commercial actors, Griffith Company and Equipment Share and Sunbelt, that are stalking together and doing so while the entity uses helicopter after I document. 9WDP479. That's P.O.C. This is mental illness. Like I stated, you know their mental illness based on the fact that they're stalking under a fake sun. These are 8JPG596. These are demons that are absurdly psychotic, okay? They're engaging in what is stalking as a population. They're demons that engage in what are murdering people as they target them together as a population. And while it's not working, it's not going to happen with me. Now you're looking at them being exposed, and you're witnessing all of the evidence of mental illness that I told you was there at the outset. Okay, stalking in helicopters, stalking while you want to look like you're focused on construction, stalking with impossible light activity, looking to the left and right like you're doing something else other than stalking somebody, stalking as a whole population, stalking amongst amplified noise, engaging in more stalking while you're documented, proven stalking. Okay, that's the entity that's mentally ill. Demonic spirits fill their person, and you have what is demonic behavior, corrupt behavior, criminal behavior, demented behavior, obsessive behavior. Very obvious criminal activity for a prosecution in court. Mike LORENZ never intended to be in federal court, and he also doesn't have any hope in court with regard to the law, with regard to proving a case beyond reasonable doubt, and there will be no negotiation. I'm not negotiating with somebody that was trying to kill me. No, you're going to prison. And I'm still going to get damages. I don't need to negotiate with you. You're going to prison. I want your body in the cell. That's what's happening, because that's going to establish precedent. And the demons are being deported. We're not negotiating. You're not negotiating at criminal activity. There's no negotiating. You see that those demons go out of their way to come to 720 East Hall Boulevard to fly over my head by helicopter? What do you think that looks like to a judge, a federal judge that's not a demon in court? Very direct evidence. What are they doing at the bus stop? Flying directly over my head. What are they doing at the Ontario Town Square? Flying directly over my head. What are they doing when I'm on the bus in entirely different regions? Stalking, which you can see while that fake sun's over me on the bus, which I documented again today. And the entity is maintaining that specific environment. That fake sun moves as I move on the bus, and you'll see the demons of the Ontario police stalking in the path. Stalking, monitoring. That they're going to prison. It's very simple. Burtnick's going to prison. The demons engaging in kidnapping, they're all going to prison. Michael, a terrorist leader, you're going to federal prison. This is terrorism, proven terrorism. Terrorism that the people of the state are fully engaging in and cooperating in an established conspiracy. Proven to be engaging in on both parts, the people and the state acting directly. You're going to prison. It is currently, that's relevant to the video you just listened to, and those are those companies and the demons that are operating those vehicles, engaging in what is corrupt business practices in the names of those businesses. Those businesses are also going to be prosecuted as terrorists, and because this is exposing that public corruption. This is what the OVITT Family Community Library is engaged in. It's not a library. They're engaged in gang stalking. And that's the whole purpose. That's why a fake sun is not over that venue right now. Where the entity is stalking me at the Ontario Town Square. And then engaging, how is that going to help you in court? Oh no, psychopaths aren't thinking about court. They're thinking about right now, oh, I'm mad. I'm going to go fly over your head. I'm going to try to hit you with my car. You're going to prison. You're going to federal prison. All right, P.O.C. The entities engage in that pattern of conduct while they're keeping evidence under surveillance. P.O.C. Let me show you the fake sun that's now over Cardenas where you're taking off. No, that's stalking. And they're doing so where the entity is monitoring with Sunbelt, Griffith Company, doing so as a gang stalking airport, which is also going to put Burtnick in prison. All right? Remember, they're approaching you and telling you that they got a call about some criminal activity that you committed that you didn't even commit. Oh, they're doing that intentionally while they're stalking you, just like this. The people of the state are going to prison, and the psychopaths wearing those uniforms, speaking those lies, and it's lies not regarding the fact of whether or not they received a call. It's the criminal system of pursuant to surveillance. They know you didn't commit any crime. They're relying on criminal summoning to be in your presence, to manufacture reasonable suspicion, probable cause, in the same way that they're turning on their sirens to create what is a emergency situation so they can hit you in the middle of the street and claim that they're not liable and that it was unintentional. Okay, the entity's engaged in what is criminal activity, and you're going to prison for it. There's no mystery here. It's also very highly unintelligent when you're dealing with demons that are mentally ill and they don't have any self-control. It makes it very easy to see that case. Very easy. License 9ECP 526, 9LUA 696. I got 2 videos of Cardenas terrorizing me by helicopter with the gang members, Ontario Police, 6KLN 212. And the demons of Cardenas, the people of the state, they're gang members as well. Okay, gang members that are in this country from other parts of the world, you're going back to wherever you came from. Okay, your gang affiliation is not welcome in the United States. You're not welcome here. Okay, so 86592T2, gang stalker with the Ontario Police. On the opposite side of the street, they're monitoring. 5XAY389, 93783J3, P.O.C. And the fake sun remains over me, like it did the other day when I went to Cardenas at a later hour. And the entity is keeping the fake sun while the Ontario International Airport's flying over the 280 North Limit Apartments, and then migrating as I migrate, flying over Holt Boulevard as I get to Holt Boulevard. You're looking at that pattern. That's all you're able to see. In addition to what is the direct investigation of the operations of that airport, where demons are engaging in terrorism. Terrorism that is proven. Terrorism where there's not going to be an exchange. I'm not going to go back and forth. I don't need to. You're beneath me. I prosecuted you with facts. While you were obsessing over me and my vagina, I was documenting your criminal activity. And it's proven beyond a reasonable doubt. 8FQR961 35217D3. N403RO, 9UAY166. Gang stalking at the Carrillos Market. P.O.C. 6KWN427. The people of the state are fully exposed to being raided at any time, at any place, based on this pattern of conduct. 6KXU047, where they live, on the streets, where they're working, whatever, based on this pattern of conduct regarding terrorism. Because you're already exposed with regard to Mr. Trump's administration that's engaging in his immigration policy. But with regard to terrorism, this is evidence that the federal government is fully capable of relying on, and they will. And it's terrorism, and terrorism is another bracket with regard to deportation. And based on this system of terrorism that's underway throughout the entire state of California, as the city of Ontario is demonstrating, based on the asininity of the specific environment, the entity is engaging in what is the P.O.C, and that is also with regard to justice, speaking to, oh, you can be raided anytime, anywhere. Anytime and anywhere. 81591X2. Based on terrorism that's underway anytime and at all places. Okay, P.O.C, Shell Gas, and Wendy's monitoring. The entity is engaging in the same pattern of conduct, flying over the Ontario Town Square and just engaging in what is just gratuitous conduct, just flying in alignment to my person is what you'll see a stalker making a U-turn, and this is Southwest Airlines doing so at what is HOLT and Monterey. Clear stalking. Let me show you the fake sun. Bam. Okay, it's 9:41 p.m., which is 10:41 a.m. Excuse me, 9:41 a.m., which is 10:41 a.m. during daylight. Where's the fake sun at after 10 when I'm in the library? It's over here. Okay, the entity has it over me on Hope Boulevard, where the fake sun is over me. That's the airport stalking, and so is everybody else on me. It's 159.992. But 12:58. The sun's not remaining in that window while it's driving in what is the direction east. 8PYK342. Gang stalking at a gas stall with a Nevada plate. State of Nevada documented gang stalking me. Going to serve to put Michael into prison. License U823. Let me get a picture of this. Gang stalking with the airport. I believe there's some sort of, yeah, this is a demon-possessed gang stalking veteran. A psychopath. PTSD? No, it's a demon. It's a demon. They're monitoring and they're gang stalking, engaging in criminal activity with the government. The entities engaging in the POC and they're engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so with regard to this evidence of science, which is serving to prosecute them. All right, it's currently 9:42 a.m. The fake sun's over me in this same manner as I'm walking in the same direction at a later hour, speaking to the evidence of what is an environment that's centered on me and not operating under what is the natural environment. In addition to this, you have what is 10, 11, 12, 3 hours ahead. This is not in Florida. While you're looking at this hunkered down light source that's in an environment that's contradictory to what I just documented days ago, what I documented yesterday, this is not in Florida as well. So there's a whole other way in which you're looking at what is in the sky space over you. In other words, there's more than one light source in the sky, and it's not the natural environment. There's a fake sun in Florida while you're looking at it hovering, moving as I move, where the airport and the population is stalking. And that's the demon. Those are the demons that are stalking with helicopters while they lose control and are outraged because I'm prosecuting you, and you were always going to be prosecuted. Understand that assault with a deadly weapon, that rage, that anger, that's what's flying that helicopter stalking me. That's what's driving that Sunbelt tractor. Okay, that's what's stalking me with impossible light and then hopping out the car going into the grocery store. Very passive-aggressive, antisocial, psychopathic behavior. Very, very demented. Wanting to murder, engaging what is conduct, terrorism, harassment, stalking as a population. Okay, and they also engage in that violence that I documented. They do that as an entity, as one, as a group, together. The pattern of conduct is not separate, it's not individualized. In the same way that you're going out of your way and providing evidence that you're gang stalking, you do so adding in the helicopter. You could have gone without that. The entities engaging in that pattern of conduct, they could have gone without an extra 200 videos of me capturing stalking by helicopter. They could have gone without that. But the entities engaging in the provision of just extra evidence that I don't even need because they're already literally prosecuted. Already prosecuted. So the entity, there's no lawyer there's no attorney that can defend Mike LORENZ with regard to what is a proven pattern of conduct. In addition to the ways in which that department has gone to the extent to try to defame my character, on top of engaging in the pattern of conduct of gang stalking me, and on top of that, you sought to defame her. while you are involved in the theft of her money and property, conspiring with her gang stalking family, that conspiracy is on the record. And you're stalking me day and night in helicopters on top of that? Yeah, you're going to prison. You are. You are going to prison. The entity is engaged in that pattern of conduct while they're witnessing that. And while psychopaths engage in that and they're witnessing that, they are angered. They're going to mental asylums, okay? But this is what angers you, and then you engage in more conduct, which is going to be reviewed. It's going to be looked at. It's going to be a matter of a judgment in a court case, and it's not going to go in your favor. It's not going to go in your favor. And this is serving to put the Ontario Police Department's co-conspirators in prison. Jason Fields, Tracy Banks, Eric Corey Spencer, Tommy Allen Banks, the kidnappers of the OVITT Family Community Library. They're engaging in what is kidnapping at the Economy Inn. September 25th, 2020, kidnapping at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. June of 2021. July of 2020. And the entity is engaged in kidnapping at the 7-Eleven, which is across the street from Woodside Senior Apartments. That's the people of the state. Kidnapping in January 13, 2020. Kidnapping at Woodside Senior Apartments, or right outside of the gates, by Jonathan Burnett and Sequoia Payton, May 4th, 2019. The entity is engaged in what is kidnapping, and then you want to claim that I'm mentally ill when I'm running down all the facts of all of your violations. What part is that I'm able to prosecute you and I'm also mentally ill? Make that make sense, number one. And number two, when you cannot do that, which you can't, because the medical profession, the definition of so-called mental illness that you would like to defame me with is not defined by my behavior, is not defined by what my behavior demonstrates. And moreover, you don't even have any authority under the law to be assessing my behavior at all. It's not in question. The fact that this is a problem is why you're going to prison, because you are engaged in what is targeting me. And then you want to engage in defamation. It was never a question. I should have been in my house and had my money, but for terrorism by Mike Lorenz and Derek Williams. You're going to prison. You're going to prison. You're going to prison for gang stalking that's underway by Pasadena Police. You're going to prison for gang stalking that's underway by Arcadia Police. You're going to prison for prison. You're going to federal prison for targeting that's underway by Monrovia Police and Azusa Police and Costa Mesa Police and Kern County Sheriff's Department, the Los Angeles Police. You're going to federal prison for all that because it's a pattern of conduct. While you, lacking self-control in that moment, serving my prosecutorial purposes, you can't spell Constitution, but yet you're going to defame my character when you're absurdly psychotic, monitoring, stalking me in bathroom stalls, proven within the pattern of conduct, and also stalking me conspicuously with helicopters. And it's conspicuous when the fake sun's over the town square at the same time and over me at a distinctly different location, such as Cardenas. And then you're engaging in what is stalking by helicopter. That's very specific to one person. The person that's not coincidentally talking about you, and then you're subject to that. How many times have I captured that coincidence? That's clinically referred to as a pattern. You let me know when any of my language is speaking to that, which is supposedly mentally ill behavior. Because you're going to federal prison for defamation. Defamation that serves a criminal purpose. And this is a whole exposure of a whole system that the Ontario Fire Department are engaged in. That the Ontario International Airport is engaged in. That the gang stalking mayor, Paul Leon, is engaged in furtherance of murder. And the people of the state are going to prison. They thought that that's a cover, that they'll get away. Oh, no. Actually, when you seek to attack Erica Lorraine Spencer, everybody's in trouble. That's what's happening. Everyone's in trouble. No one has any cover. You're all in trouble and you're all exposed. 6RDZ 924. So look at the entity having the fake sun over me as I'm here during the 11 a.m. hour. And as I'm here right now at 9:49 a.m. And by here I am at 415 Ontario Fire Department, that's gang stalking. And doing so, remember I was documenting the Ontario International Airport stalking. Doing so while a fake sun, you're looking at this inconsistent conduct. All right, the fake sun is ahead of schedule with regard to what will be an identical orbit, all right, and an identical consistent location, all right. If you are blessed enough to witness the sun as it's in its constant movement, rising from the east to the west, which would now be from the east side of one building to the west side of that same building at the end of the day, which then it deviates from that when you go to somewhere different, like on another street in another part of town, or go to another city. That's totally inconsistent, out of conformity, and the entity that's engaging in that, stalking in that environment, and then thinks that they can deflect from that and defame your character as, oh, okay, don't think about that, think about that. She's crazy. You don't even have the evidence to manufacture that. You literally made up information. You make up that I harassed somebody. You make up that I molested a child. You make up that I'm trying to break into a building. You make it all up. Well, I've been prosecuting you the whole time. All right, and Satan's going to pull you by your pinky toe into the federal cell where you're going and you're not getting out. You're not getting out. All right, the entity has been engaged in what is gang stalking me, and this is living in a bubble, as a matter of documentation, since 2018. So that's over 7 years. You're going to federal prison for longer than 7 years. I just want you to know that. You're going to federal prison for federal offenses, mail fraud, stealing my money, stealing my identity. Are you kidding me? You're going to federal prison on top of what is gang stalking, which is terrorism. Terrorism. Violation of federal stalking statute 22618 subsections 1 and 2. And you don't even know what that is. And you think you're going to defame my character. This is the absurdity of the pattern of conduct. That's how you have ignoramuses. Imbeciles that feel like they are empowered because they're gang stalking with the gang members themselves. The gang members are being disbanded and they're going to prison. And that's to put a stamp on if you ever engage in this in any other state. This and worse is going to happen to you. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:51 a.m. The fake sun moves as I move toward the, in the opposite direction. Remember, I came from the library to Cardenas. Today, I'm coming from Cardenas to the City Hall. And the fake sun's behind me where the entity is stalking. And this is evidence putting, Paul Leon's not staying in office. He's a demon. Monitoring with black people, Latino people, Asian people, license PG086, handicap. And he is handicapped. He's a demon. He's a psychopath. And Amazon Prime is gang stalking, flying over and doing so while demons are on the sidewalk. Crossing path, that's light activity under the fake sun at what is the Ontario City Hall at 9:51 a.m. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in that P.O.C. Remember, the fake sun is over me at the same City Hall at 12:51 in the afternoon, where Amazon Prime has already exposed itself as engaging in terrorism. This is the necessary shutdown of that terrorist, the Ontario International Airport, aiding in what is criminal activity by the so-called mayor. Criminal activity by a so-called police department. No, it's not, and no, they're not, and they're also not going to remain. These cockroaches are walking right into the City Hall, gang stalking and doing so. 7 WTC 657. And they're doing so with people that have been granted a privilege to be in this country. All right? And which is not a defense to you. You're getting out of this country. You're equally unwelcome. American citizens don't care that you're gang stalking with the state and that you were engaging in that with the government, and that's the reason. That's supposed to be some defense to you murdering them and stealing from them and stealing their identity. It doesn't matter. You're being deported. GS 224 handicap 468 FP handicap. And the Ontario City Hall is the facilitating venue where the criminal pattern of conduct remains underway, where demons are stalking outside of the door, Exhibit A, stalking in the path under a fake sun that's over me at this same venue at 12:51 in the afternoon. All right, 12:51, that's during daylight savings time, which would be 11:51 outside of daylight savings time. And I have the entities stalking me by helicopter, stalking by planes well into the evening at the same venue. The fake sun is on the opposite side of the same building at 5 and 6 o'clock in the evening. What is in alignment to my face inside of the OVITT Family Community Library after 4 p.m. while it's over the Ontario City Hall? That's inside of the same Civic Center. He's getting removed out of office. He is not a mayor. Okay, and neither are any of those demons sitting on that so-called city council. All right, that's not a city attorney. They're demons. They're being overpaid while they're nothing other than vagina monitoring, light slinging gargoyles. That's it. It's the Nephilim, and they're fired. They're being removed. Okay, so the entity is mad about it. So you're engaged in terrorist acts that I'm documenting. You're going to prison for it. You know, they know exactly who's responsible for it, and they also know who's committing it. You're going to prison for it. All roads lead to federal prison. And I want to be clear, Paul Leon is not exempt from a federal prosecution, specifically targeting, including while I'm outside of the Ontario City Hall. Okay, P.O.C. And it's currently 9:54 a.m., whereas I walk, what Amazon Prime just committed 2 minutes ago is immediately changing while that fake sun advances over me. And now it's over as I'm walking toward the library, speaking to stalking, which is also proven because no airport takeoffs from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 includes hovering over the Ontario City Hall. Okay? None of those flights were occurring while I'm on Hope Boulevard. And it's also inexplicable that they would come from that location nearest the Airport Drive and then fly diagonally across the city and hover over the square, hover over the 280 North Limit Apartments, hover over the City Hall. No, those are demons that are stalking, doing so, and then you're also flying what would be north to then fly west along G Street while I'm documenting stalking by that airport at 1801 East G Street. Yeah, that's the entity that's engaging in what is stalking. Very unintelligent with regard to the inability to target me. Not only to target me, that's one thing, and then you thought that you light-slinging gargoyles are going to defame my character? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? These demons are being publicly put in their place, and they're being prosecuted. Okay? Engaged in what is absurdly criminal, corrupt, perverted, and psychotic. P.O.C. It is currently 9:55 a.m. A bunch of demons enter into the venue of the library to engage in surveillance, which is also proven while I'm subject to it and I walk right into that building. Logic, common sense dictates that it's not stopping inside of that venue. In fact, it's underway inside of that venue. So the question is always, how are the elements present? And I've already taught that. I've already shown you that. It's already available to you. And they are also very obvious and unintelligent in executing it. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's currently 9:55 a.m. The fake sun is right over the entrance at 215 East C Street. In defiance of science, logic, common sense, the knowledge of the average 5th grader, not the Nephilim's little kids, those are demons. Many of them don't know how to read. That's because they're too busy engaging in sexual activity with parents that are pedophiles. They're engaged in teaching them how to engage in targeting because reading is not necessary when you're engaging in planning terrorism. They're engaged in what is all manner of targeting instead of what little children should be involved in. But the average 5th-year-old with the average education and ability and intelligence level is able to recognize that the entity is stalking under what is not possibly the natural environment. All right, it's currently 9:56 a.m.
This is stalking. This is where the entity has a fake sun at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And this is light activity in crossing path. That's the audible noise as though a plane is taking off, and it's not, over the 280 North 11 Apartments. And the entity is feigning a takeoff over the HOLT Boulevard, 1630, while that fake sun is over me. This is P.O.C. And this is the pattern of conduct where the fake sun is in the same position as I walk out of these doors at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's what I just captured the other day. These are demons that are creating activity and use of devices. This is pursuant to what is monitoring. And they represent an entity that's surrounding. And they're all together engaging what is keeping me under surveillance. They go into the boys' restroom to stalk in the path like this, stalking and monitoring on devices, monitoring my vagina, doing so on behalf of the sex offenders that go inside the women's restroom while the demons are stalking using planes. That's why the Ontario International Airport is being shut down. That's the identification of sex offenders, by the way. Sex offenders that are engaged in a pattern of conduct on behalf of the government. Those are the same demons that engage in criminal summoning, where demons like Burtnick claim that they were called and you were trying to break into a building while they're gang stalking in planes. That's called conspicuous stalking. P.O.C. is currently 9:59 a.m. under the fake sun that's at the same entrance where it's present, and I captured that same conduct while they tracked my steps walking out last night, stalking. And the fake moon's in the same position, okay? Last night, the entity's engaging, then following to the bus stop, and I documented. That's all over the internet. This is ongoing ceaseless surveillance, and the Ontario Airport is serving to put the terrorist leaders, the Ontario Police Department, in prison. And it's also necessitating the federal imprisonment of domestic terrorists who are going to be subject to mental examinations, and also what is the shutdown of the airport, the removal of the fire department that's engaged in surveillance, conspiring murder, not engaging in firefighting. Okay, this is P.O.C. and it's public corruption. It's 10 a.m. as you can hear, and the sun is never on any point today over the town square, okay? Contrary to what I'm documenting on an ongoing basis, where psychopaths are focusing on decorating and landscaping and all they're doing is monitoring. P.O.C. All right, all the ongoing P.O.C. that I'm witnessing, that I'm documenting and you're witnessing, understand that it is all enveloped within the OVITT Family Community Library. Every employee, everybody that's coming in and getting a conference room, going and using the restrooms, sitting at the tables, using the computers, checking out a book, keeping their nose in a book, engaging in what is surveillance. It's all surveillance. And that's also what you are logically deducing from the pattern of conduct that's happening on a ceaseless basis. And they're engaging in that pattern of conduct on the inside. The prosecution of those terrorist leaders of the Ontario Police and the prosecution of the people of the state. Gang stalkers and the demons that are engaging in that. And this is very also easily documented with regard to your your work schedule, your business records, the entity that's engaged in, because it's a matter of public corruption, and they're all surrounded with that. And so while they engage in that, they're engaged in what is an ongoing cycle until their demise is met, meaning it's already occurring. They're witnessing it. They're spiraling out of control, and they are, until the day they're raided, until the day they're handcuffed, until the day they're dragged into court, they're continuously engaging in this until the day that they drop dead. Okay, and that's not wishing death, but this is just the inevitable consequences of the wicked and dark conduct that they have engaged in, and they're reaping the consequences of that. I happen to be prosecuting my rights while the government thought that it was going to target me, and then that you even, not first of all, that you would be able to accomplish defaming me, but then not only that, that it is even relevant. We're going back to, hold on, before you even get there, you don't even have any jurisdiction to be there. The fact that you are injecting that while you don't have any jurisdiction, while you're engaging in surveillance, is why you're going to be prosecuted. Moreover, you're psychotic. You are psychotic. The type of psychotic that digs into its pants and eats its own feces, that's how crazy they are. Okay? And they're sitting around stalking in the library. And that's what I've already shown you that, P.O.C. 7 hours from now, they're walking around on engineer light. Okay? They're which is concentrated. They're walking in engineer light now. Multiple shadows and whatnot, pacing around me, engaging in what is worshiping, stalking inside of a building. It doesn't get any more absurdly demented than that. This is where the demons, the zombies, the hollowed out gang stalkers, the third parties are engaging in that all around while I'm just inside documenting and remaining inside of the library. And that is proven by the fake sun in the morning at this venue, and the fake sun in the evening, and the fake moon in the evening, and the stalking by plane and helicopter upon my exit. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct, and the entities surrounded with the evidence of surveillance cameras, their work schedules, the ongoing contracts that they maintain with the entity, which is all means of criminal presence. Literally your paycheck, I'm going to prosecute you with that. It's all criminal conduct on behalf of the state. That is proving that you're gang stalking me here while I'm being targeted by gang stalkers using helicopters at CARDENAS. Okay, who know exactly who I am, and they're coming into the library, arriving at work to engage in the pattern of conduct. P.O.C. It's 10:09 a.m. Okay, I just want to make sure that this is clear. Mike LORENZ, that agency has vagina monitors in position with regard to surrounding the women's restroom, demon in position in the men's restroom for crossing a path, demon in position with regard to crossing path while stalking on the side where the OVITT Family Community Library conveniently places 2 chairs for the gang stalking purposes of sex offenders that are monitoring genitalia in the women's restroom, monitoring mine in particular. This is sexual violence. Monitoring inside of a bathroom, which is underway, and engineer light, which is inside of that bathroom. Outside of that bathroom, the fake sun's over me. As you've seen, it moves as I move. So while I'm in the bathroom, the fake sun is over me at that angle of the building where all of the entity, including the demons in position outside of the bathroom and inside of the bathroom, inside of the boys' restroom, where boys are engaged in vagina monitoring on behalf of Mike LORENZ, they are engaged in that conduct. Mike LORENZ is going to prison for sexual violence that is inhumane and also psychopathic. Okay, he's doing so while sex offenders are in the criminal conduct in the name of that criminal activity by that agency, engaging what is keeping my vagina under surveillance. Doing so in concert with the entity that works at the venue. This is P.O.C. Vagina monitors in position at 10:17 a.m. Okay, psychopaths come and plant themselves at computer stations around as I pull up information that they are triggered by, such as the license plate of the vagina monitor in position downstairs, such as the license plate of the gang stalker at computer station number 5. The demons are doing nothing. All they're doing is pacing around, centered around computer number 1, going to the circulation desk, walking on both hallways, coming in and out of the kids area, and also engaging in surveillance where they're engaging in a battery. It's demonic activity while a demon sits at the desk, which is not going to jerk around while you're sitting there or while you're picking up or sitting down or putting your arms. They're doing so while I pull up the license plate. Let me document his license plate. He's engaged in positioning with regard to vagina monitoring on behalf of Mike LORENZ, 5 Nancy Kelly Wendy 142. The overweight male that's stalking by walking out of the bathroom, tracking my steps, just like the airport and the police as I walk out of the venue, and they're doing so inside of the venue. Okay, all they're doing, this is psychotic. All they're doing, these are hollowed out zombies. So if you can imagine like a zombie, arms out, that's what the demon possessed actually are. They try to present as sane and normal, and all they are doing is obsessively stalking me. That's of everybody that's walking in here, walking next to me around. They're doing so pursuant to what they're monitoring me doing and what I'm doing on my device. That is mental illness as well. Okay, P.O.C. It's currently 10:44 a.m. You have Starla, and you have what is let me see, John. You also have the demons that are pacing in and out, the nameless demons. They're nameless with regard to all the employees that are pacing in and out of the administration door, engaging in the P.O.C. together, stalking with noise. Hi, how are you? This is the P.O.C. that they're engaging in, and they're doing so together with regard to the pattern of conduct. That's audible activity of a third party that's monitoring. She's gang stalking at Wendy's under the fake sun upon my checking out of the Ontario Airport Inn. She's gang stalking at the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library now. She's gang stalking as a psychopath that knows she's being documented. Hey, nice seeing you, and snapping at me, which I don't respond to, is engaging in activity creation here, monitoring, and I documented her license plate as well. In fact, as I pull it up on my phone, Demons 1, remember, they're walking in engineered light, so it's monitoring, it's crossing a path while 3 shadows by 1 person crosses path one after another. It's psychopathic pacing. When you see the fake sun over Cardenas and you see them walking out with their grocery carts, that's psychopathic pacing. When you see the engineered light that's on the side of that grocery store, the fake sun over, and then the entity underscoring it, stalking in helicopter, these are demons that are pacing all around. They are the zombies with their eyes closed, their arms out, pacing all around me, stalking. This is the living dead. All right, this is P.O.C. They're engaged in that ongoing desperate and pathetic endeavor while I'm embarrassing the demon-possessed, who are going to federal prison for engaging in acts of published violence on behalf of gang members like the Ontario Police Department by engaging in things like assault with a deadly weapon. And they're sitting around stalking. They all committed that act of violence together. P.O.C. It's currently 10:46 a.m. Let me give you the license plate of the demon that is engaging in the P.O.C. with regard to monitoring right now. Her license plate is 6 Roger George David 348. This is the third party engaging in what is targeting by coming and using a computer, coming and talking to the employees, coming and checking out a book. This is how the pattern of conduct is appropriated to the type of venue. If it were Starbucks, then they would be centering it around buying coffee drinks. Under the fake sun in engineer light, fake sun rises and setting, the entity stalking by plane and helicopter. P.O.C. It's 10:47 a.m.
¿Qué está pasando contigo? Pero no está, no está, no está. Y a la pressure tampoco nunca la percibí. Entonces, y ok, eso era y yo después ella demanda derecho a pues ella le da y me estaba diciendo
Gang stalking employees crossing paths. Multiple shadows. 10:59 a.m.
me cambiaron mi cuenta para yo pagar. Me la cambié como 3 veces. Yes.
That's a gang stalking employee. Stalking with noise. P.O.C.
Eso. Y luego como 3 discriminación.
There's a little blue box at the bottom. Click that, make sure full, and then log out. Let's see what you can do.
Sí. Y luego he querido hablar con
Okay, monitoring with regard to my uploading of images. The same time that door closes, those are gang stalking employees. Those are demons. They're psychotic. Stalking with noise. Employees pacing, walking back and forth across the floor, past the desk where I'm sitting at computer station number 1. Opening and closing both the entrance door, which is amplified, and the administration door. The kids, these are doorways where they're pacing and stalking with noise. As I use my device, as I move around also, doing so while they're monitoring online. P.O.C. And the conversation you're listening to is audible activity, the use of a communication device. It's federal stalking. It's criminal surveillance on behalf of the gang members of the Ontario Police.
yo no meto a nadie va ni a mi casa. El único que va es el Jeff y también tiene problema con el Jeff. Eso es lo que ellos quieren. No quieren hacer algo.
Remember, the reason why the entity is subject to federal prison is they commit acts of violence like assault and with a deadly weapon, and then they engage in conspicuous stalking together. They're going to be assessed mentally, and they're going to prison.
because that's what this is. This is P.O.C. This is mentally ill behavior. They are engaging in a pattern of conduct together, and only in their delusional minds, they're going to engage in conspicuously stalking an American citizen who is being hereby advocated on their behalf. They're being advocated, and this is exactly what the government's not going to do. They're going to prison. This is P.O.C. It's 11:03 a.m.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm so sorry.
Hi.
I overheard you. Are you a lawyer? Or like
I'm on the phone.
oh, okay.
Did you need something?
Like a lawyer or like
It's audible activity. I'm sorry? I'm sorry?
I thought you were a lawyer or like are you like a paralegal or something?
I have experience in the legal field. Why?
Oh, because I'm kind of like going through like what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
I can't give you any legal advice.
No.
No.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
No, no, no. This is
Those are demons pacing in and out of the entrances, monitoring the administration. Those are demons, so they're engaging in demonic activity, doing so in the this is the municipality. The Open Family Community Library is a state facilitating venue. So this is the same demons of the city of Ontario acting directly. The door closure is pursuant to physical movement, my physical movement, and my activity creation. And so you have what are demons that are literally pacing in and out, which is punctuated with door closures, okay? This is where the fakes, they're doing the same thing, just so that you're understanding the 100% truth of what I'm speaking. The fake sun is over the entrance right now at 11. At 4 and 5 o'clock in the evening, you're looking at Mickey and Myra and John and Starlet, these demons that are doing the same thing with the audible noise, and the fake sun is shining through the entrance doors, meaning it didn't move anywhere, and it's still in alignment to me while they are stalking. And this is their mental illness being documented, okay, because they're being prosecuted. This is P.O.C. It's 11:05 a.m. Okay, what you're looking at is images of stalking. All right, remember the objective is to engage in what is presence in the path, and the path is filled with engineer light. The path is under the fake sun, and the path is criminal presence on behalf of the state that doesn't have any warrant or probable cause to have a bunch of demons following you around and keeping your genitalia under surveillance in the bathroom, and then maintaining presence by sitting next to you while you are being monitored the entire way. So as you sit back down at your seat, you have a sex offender that's there waiting. That's the entity's pattern of conduct of crossing path while they are equally engaged in monitoring your vagina. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's currently 1:08 p.m. All right, this is video documentation regarding what you saw this morning at 10 o'clock. As I'm at the entry and what you saw last night as I'm exiting the venue, and the entity is stalking by the Ontario International Airport, and stalking is proven through the maintenance of the specific environment where the demon possesses engaging on what are the elements of monitoring, not coincidentally, but pursuant to ongoing gang stalking. That's stalking in the path, doing so under the fake sun that's over the same entry that it was at 10 o'clock, where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking by deviating from the operations of an airport to hover over this apartment building where the at 10 a.m. and it is still not because this is sunlight, because that's impossible light activity, but because it's the presence of engineer light where the entity is keeping what is a fake sun. Okay, this is stalking in the path, including the state. City of Ontario represents the state. And here's the fake sun. This is P.O.C. The demons are engaging in what this same pacing inside of the library. This is mental illness. They're walking in engineer light inside, stalking with light. They are engaged in what is doing so, as you can see. This is stalking conduct, 8 EMF 562. Stalking with the Ontario International Airport while the entity is stalking right here. This is the fake sun. This is where it's at as I'm at the same entrance this morning. After coming from the Cardenas direction yesterday morning, I'm at the Ontario Town Square. This fake sun is in the same position it is at 8 o'clock in the morning while the Ontario Police Department are gang stalking at 303 North Euclid. And the entity is keeping the fake sun as I'm documenting Taylor gang stalking sitting at the bench. And I'm showing you the fake sun that follows me to this entrance. as you're breaking down what is an illusion, where demons are engaged in psychopathic pacing. This is not the sun, and this is speaking to what is present in the same manner in the morning when I'm at this property, the town square, and going to the OVIT, and this is what is relevant to presence and activity in that environment. The entity's keeping this fake sun at 215 E.C. Street, where they are engaged in surveillance, and they're walking in the ground outside in possible light activity under what is a fake sun, and it's also on the inside when they are engaged in monitoring. This is what you saw inside of the post office. This is what you saw on the inside of the Omnitrans bus, or what is stalking under a fake sun. Let me be clear, the fact that I'm one person and I'm looking at the sun still at this hour in the day and I have not traveled to another state is speaking to what is the impossible maintenance of an environment conducive to surveillance. This is P.O.C. It is currently 2:41 p.m. The entity is maintaining this fake sun until sunset and engaging in stalking by the government, which is shown through the plane and helicopter activity, surveillance. P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaged in what is mentally ill behavior while they're engaged in pacing inside of the library. You're pacing in what is not sunlight. P.O.C. That's John gang stalking me in the path. Alrighty, the gargoyles that you see gang stalking at the computer stations around me, the monitoring, light-slinging demons. This is the Nephilim stalking inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. They're doing so with regard to the fake sun that you are seeing in the same position it was at 10 o'clock in the morning. They're coming in to engage in surveillance, and these are demons that are coming in monitoring. This is with regard to a prosecution harassment that the OVITT Family Community Library is committing in furtherance of murder. Every employee, every gang stalking patron, including children in that massive sex offense, while the government is engaging in what is relying on the people of the state to maintain surveillance inside of the venue. The entity has a bunch of demons that are under the age of majority, stalking with light, pacing around like hollowed out zombies. With regard to every button I push every time I stroke my phone screen, the entity is engaged in what is monitoring, doing so with those under the age of majority. But this is letting you know this is a demon-possessed population. So their children are demons. The families of demons come in, and they're engaging in what is a citywide interest, surveilling me. Okay, and that's it's both tragic and it's also gross. It's very disgusting. It's very creepy. These are the demons that are stalking with light, stalking with the government, molesting with impossible light, while you're on the opposite side of the freeway, on the opposite side of Euclid Avenue, which is an expansive street. You're not moreover, while you're driving north and south, your headlights are not reaching. That's how obsessed with me they are. These are demons that are stalking. Okay, they come into a library to engage in that. Okay, and then they're also embarrassed and they feel stupid because of the way I'm exposing them, and I'm also prosecuting, and I also already won. So then you have assault with a deadly weapon documented on video. These are the light-slinging gargoyles, and they're both employed by the OVITT Family Community Library. All right, and they're also coming into gang stalk with the OVITT Family Community Library. All right, this is P.O.C. It's 5:46 p.m. Gang violence, and Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue is engaging in that, facilitating it. These are demons aiming light, and this is all engineer light. It's not headlights. These are the demons that are molesting with impossible light inside of buildings, onto the bus when they're driving by, when I'm across the street and they're at the gas station. These are also the demons engaging in what is assault with a deadly weapon, monitoring as demons while you hear that amplified noise while they're stalking with light. These are demons that are engaging in what is gang violence with the Ontario Police Department. This is stalking in the path with that train activity. They're standing around, remaining around the perimeter. Mule Car Smokehouse is a facilitating venue. Wells Fargo is a facilitating venue. And this is ongoing surveillance by the state in concert with the people. Engaging in that which is the conspiracy to commit murder. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct and is also speaking as a state, engaging in violence and then more violence while they are being documented. So that's the co-conspirator of murder that's then engaging what is threatening your life. License RO12543. That's a Kansas plate. This looks like an African-American male or a Latino male. They're stalking with light, crossing path. 9RNY327. This is where the fake sun rises and sets. Saris Regis Group. License 9SOZ385. P.O.C. They're all walking in engineer light. That's impossible light activity. It's demonic. You can see the structure here. And you can see the shadow 1, 2, 3. That's impossible light activity. They're monitoring. Here's my shadow here. 2,
3, they're monitoring. This is gang violence, and that's what I'm documenting. And the entity's engaging in conduct on behalf of the state. The entity has the building lights coming on and off. Wells Fargo is engaging in gang stalking with the demons who are using the venue. This is a prosecution of that corrupt banking institution. Okay, it's not going to be limited on business hours. You could see the demonic activity. This is criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder, which Wells Fargo is going to be prosecuted for. Okay, this is Title 18 federal stalking, stalking with light. Doing so while the demons are maintaining presence in the path. Doing so while they're doing so under the guise of what is Mule Car Smokehouse is monitoring. The Unique Cafe, these are all businesses, in other words, that are open. This is means of facilitation. So they're creating their own paper trail, using the ATMs, being on camera, using their banking cards and whatnot. This is how you're going to prosecute. These are demons inside monitoring. He's mopping while he's turning the lights on and off. Okay, this is the demon that's gang stalking. Okay, the light's going on and off while he's mopping. That's called light activity. This is P.O.C. All right, and he's monitoring with these demons outside that are in impossible light while the lights are turning on and off with regard to light activity. That's called criminal facilitation. And you already know what the Ontario police are doing, and you know what the Ontario International Airport is doing. They're doing it with these people. These are demons. Again, that's Kansas, RO12543. And the entity putting fake plates, the entity concealing that they're going to prison. It's obstruction of justice. And this is the corruption that Mike LORENZ is necessarily being removed. He's going to prison for this gang violence that's being documented, published online, and he's going to be prosecuted for it. He's a terrorist leader in the United States. This is P.O.C. License 5UWE399, in case I didn't read that one. This is all unlawful. They go to the ATM. This is gang stalking. It's not lawful. The entity's maintaining surveillance. That's the guise of all this criminal surveillance. There's no warrant to maintain a business and facilitating the pattern of conduct. There's no warrant to engage in what is transactions with establishments regarding the pattern of conduct. And they do so engaging in what is the pattern of conduct while you're looking at assault with a deadly weapon. The demons are engaging in this pattern of conduct while they're all stalking me. I'm their obsession. That's why they sit inside of that library stalking me all day long. P.O.C. It's currently 7:53 p.m. That's amplified noise. Wells Fargo is engaged in light activity, as you saw that, and you saw a demon inside maintaining criminal presence and activity. Turning the lights on and off while you're mopping is called light activity and presence, and it's criminal. P.O.C. ATMN092. Sarah's Regis Group is monitoring. Ontario Town Square is monitoring. License plate 9CLY717 is monitoring. And this is gang violence that Mike LORENZ is being prosecuted for. The Ontario Police is being disbanded for. This is P.O.C. This, by the way, is mental illness. This is mental illness. 62804C3. This is psychopathic pacing and stalking as a population, and this is the Nephilim. That's what their name is. This is the Nephilim. These are demons, and their behavior is mentally ill. As you are able to look at what their actual purpose is, what their actual intention is, and they're mentally ill, and they're violent sex offenders, and they're serial killers, and they're stalking and playing. It's not a takeoff over the Ontario Airport Inn, and it's not a takeoff over Wells Fargo. It's also not a takeoff over Holt Boulevard. Okay, the Latina male that's inside of that Wells Fargo, that's a federal prosecution for facilitation in the same way that the airport is engaged in that. This is the entity that's doing so together in concert. This is indeed the Nephilim. The pattern of conduct is also proven through what is the prosecution of the entity that is maintaining the elements of monitoring together while they're providing what is criminal evidence against each other. And you need to understand that these are demons. So this is a criminal prosecution, but these are demons, and this is demonic activity, and this is the exposure of all of that. And while the entity engages in what is incriminating conduct, it's clearly going to be in court, okay? The demon possessors are going to be prosecuted for their what is actually satanic, what is also exposing what is criminal conduct improper by the state to engage in criminal activity in concert with the people of the state. It's public corruption. 7SOZ619. The entity is engaging in what is taken off from the airport along Holt Boulevard, and the entity is engaging in that conduct while the airport is engaging what is stalking in the path with amplified noise while engaging in light activity in the specific environment, okay? This is the significance of the multiple shadows. This is demonic, and this is Wells Fargo openly engaging in that. Do not try, because you can't take it back in federal court. That's the point. License plate 6UEX586. Wells Fargo engaged in what is conspiring my murder as a corrupt business for years. Engaged in targeting and kidnapping with the Ontario Police Department. Ongoing terrorism, flying in circles over this institution for years. Not just as of late in 2025. Oh no, that's not new. They're gang stalking now. They've been gang stalking for years. And they do so with impunity. You need to understand that these gang stalking businesses and establishments like Wells Fargo, it's exhibited through the ongoing conduct by the people outside of the building, inside of the building, flying over the building. This is an entity that's communicating its hostility to you, and I'm letting you know about the fact that you are hated by those who want your money. P.O.C. It is currently 7:56 p.m. That's a communication of an unlawful threat by a business. I'm going to prosecute Wells Fargo because it's serving monitoring. So this is how, again, you're using a building and an establishment to communicate a threat with the government. That's P.O.C. license 8KGW204. Anybody, the entity that's engaged in what is gang stalking, if that's an immigrant and they're mopping the floor, creating light activity, they're going to be deported. Him and his wife, his grandmother, their kids are not going to keep them in this country. Their cousins and his brother and his sister, if they're all living together, they're being deported if they're not natural born citizens. And the entity, the federal government's going to have the same disregard that they have for the law. P.O.C. It is 7:56 p.m. and that's what you just saw. The entity made a U-turn over the top of this Wells Fargo. This is P.O.C. All right, sexual assault and battery, Wells Fargo, downtown Ontario luxury apartments, the Ontario Town Square, the Ontario International Airport, every airline. 8 Victor Mary Nancy 659, which is representing the people of the state, the entirety of that entity, as the city of Ontario is joining in on the gang violence that I'm documenting at the Wells Fargo, where demons are lined up in the parking lot stalking in the path. License 8SCC 980. The same sex offense 9VZX686, and the city of Ontario is engaging in that together. The entity, as I turn on the Wi-Fi with regard to stalking by flying over the Wells Fargo, literally the plane activity over the Wells Fargo is the direct evidence of the entity targeting. This is getting to every detail regarding that pattern of conduct, showing how it is consistently underway as well, and it's also relevant to civil and criminal prosecution. VLB 9911, that's Texas, sexual assault and battery. It is 8:07 p.m. The entity is stalking by plane over that Wells Fargo while I turn on the Wi-Fi radio. This is at the in between where I've also captured the evidence that they're stalking and monitoring because the fake sun is over this strip of street. The entity gang stalking, Ontario police training is what they call it, gang stalking me. The fake sun at 7:15 in the morning at this C Street and Euclid Avenue intersection. The fake sun at this same C Street and Euclid Avenue intersection as you're looking at the illusion. While I'm standing facing the OVITT Family Community Library from C Street, the fake sun is rising. While I'm standing facing the, from the OVITT Family Community Library facing the Euclid Avenue C Street intersection, you're looking at the fake sun, and that's after 6 p.m. These demons are stalking with light in the same way that the fake sun is accomplishing that. VLB 9911 on surveillance cameras. License, it's 8:08 p.m. 43K318, and the entity is doing so on behalf of the government that's stalking by flying over the bank, which I captured on video. So the entity is very cooperative with providing criminal activity of the state targeting, and that these are not just people that are coincidentally engaging in a pattern of conduct. It's 8:08 p.m. Just to give you evidence of demon possession, first of all, this is behavior that's indicative, it's revealing to you what is actual mental illness. This is a demon-possessed person as well. This is a psychotic person, very dangerous, and this is a demon-possessed person that wants to present as a normal person, a normal human being, also a law-abiding citizen. This is a demon that's obsessively monitoring another person, that's myself, and it's also demon-possessed, and you're able to prove that through the environment. You're able to witness that, rather, through the environment, okay? That's absolutely impossible, and it's separate from the headlights, the form of light in the engineered environment. This is relevant to the presence of demonic spirits. 9PLP033 is sharing in that condition and what is criminal. You prosecute the government with this. It's tangible evidence. 8SCC980 is gang stalking. She put herself on the transaction with regard to Wells Fargo cameras. The Latino males inside monitoring, stalking in the path. The airport stalking in the path, flying over the bank. The entities doing so in the environment where we've already shown the fake sun rising and setting, and doing so while they are exhibiting demon possession. This is terrorism. You're going to prosecute the government that's acting with a population of psychopaths who are sex offenders, engaging in what is stalking you in bathrooms with this light around while they're monitoring you. Okay, this is absolutely inexplicable, and they're committing a sex offense, molesting you with that light, touching my breasts, touching my thighs, touching my legs, touching my face. It's the sex offense committed by the entity of demons who are all stalking, all of them. This is the same light that's present all over everything while the fake sun is there. It's not a reflection. It's demonic activity. And you see that disappear? This is P.O.C. Those are demons operating a vehicle. And those are stalkers acting as third parties. This is the presence of an Ontario Police Department while they're driving what's supposed to be a private citizen's vehicle, engaging in what is constitutionally protected activity that's not harming anybody. They're gang stalking, and it's in furtherance of murder. And you're going to disband? You're also going to prosecute. They're walking away with criminal records as sex offenders and terrorists. And they're not walking away from anything. They're going to be deported if they're not natural born citizens. That's P.O.C. That's relevant to the entity stalking by flying over that, what you just saw. Like they are always giving me evidence of doing. The entity, that's going in court. And it's relevant that it's demonic as well. This is P.O.C. All right, demons molesting and going right to the ATM. This is a Latino male. License plate 64574 Victor 2 and 8 Victor Mary Nancy 659. Again, engaging in what is a sex offense. This is the government engaging in sexual violence by the millions of people that are stalking you on an ongoing basis. The entity is stalking with light. So you are being accosted, you're being molested, you're being harassed, you're being touched with engineered light while they are stalking and while they exhibit severe mental illness with their obsession with what is not even naturally occurring light while they're stalking you. This is a sex offense committed, and it's including the corrupt, inherently corrupt, because gang stalking is underway by Wells Fargo, and ongoing gang stalking is facilitated by Wells Fargo, and it's doing so with the government that's flying over its building to confirm that Wells Fargo is gang stalking. Not coincidentally, the airport deviating from where an airport would, where the Ontario International Airport would maintain any sort of takeoff from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 to be hovering over and then flying toward and then doing a U-turn above the Wells Fargo bank where the entities engage in what is sexual assault and battery. All right, this is P.O.C. And these demons engage in sexual assault and battery as evidence is published online. This is what, again, Mike LORENZ is being prosecuted for. This is what the people of the state are being prosecuted for. This is what the people of the state are being deported out of the country for. This is what they're being committed into mental institutions for. This is P.O.C. It's relevant to surveillance on devices as well. And the entity is doing so with impunity. The entity that's engaging in the P.O.C. and you're looking at the impossible light, the fake sun, the stalking with planes and helicopters, and everybody's acting as though it's not occurring. Everything's normal. That's the entity that's mentally ill. Those are psychopaths. Okay, that's what you're looking at. The entity's engaging in that, and you're going to deport them out the country. P.O.C. It is currently 8:19 p.m. You're going to put them in federal prison. You're going to make sure that they are locked up in facilities where they can't sexually violate and stalk and murder other people that are ignorant about the fact that they're preying upon them. All right, it's 8:19 p.m. again at Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is a part of all of this sexual assault and battery that's underway. All right, and Wells Fargo is making money off of it. I'm going to prosecute civilly and criminally. License plate 9LEW945. Another angry sex offender coming around and molesting and doing so, and likely one that also is subject to what is at least an investigation regarding being an immigrant. Okay, you have I want to be clear, the United States welcomes immigrants in this country to come keep us under surveillance. So you have those that are in this country that hate us. They hate this country, and they're here as a part of what is sacrificing the people that live here, that don't know that this is ongoing, and they're preying upon you, they're keeping you under surveillance, and they're stealing from you, they're stealing your identity, they're accusing you to make sure that you're kidnapped, they're targeting you until you lose your mind. That's what they bank on, especially when they're doing so. These are demons that utilize witchcraft while they gang stalk you, which is also witchcraft, as I've broken that down to you. When you see the impossible light, that's demonic. These are demon-possessed people. This is the Nephilim. These are the tactics that they employ. And speaking politically, speaking with regard to a corrupt government regime, the United States welcomes immigrants into this country to keep us under surveillance. We are fully under surveillance, and surveillance is maintained by other countries in this country against us, about us, concerning us. American citizens that don't even permit the U.S. government to keep us under surveillance, let alone outside countries, and that's exactly what's happening. Okay, this is the third plane flying over Wells Fargo. The entity does that. That's an admission. The Ontario International Airport, Ronald Leverage, is engaging in sexual assault and battery. He's going to be prosecuted for the inhumanity regarding the sexual violence by the masses that are engaging what is stalking me because of him. It's the same with Mike LORENZ. It's the same with Julia Gu. It's the same with these demons that are engaging in more violence, admittedly targeting, which is what an airport that's hovering over the bank is doing, is not going to solve your problems in court. The Nephilim, again, these are psychopaths. In the same way when I'm publishing evidence evidence a sex offender is molesting my body. That's not the solution. More violence. These are psychopaths. They commit murder as well when they don't want to get in trouble for something. That's why the Ontario police are being disbanded. Stalking with that airport. That's license plate 39663U1. P.O.C. This is the same violence that not only Julia Gould and Ronald Leverage, but Jim Bowman, Kurt Hagman, and Alan D. Wapner. You have Atif El Qadi. You have what are demons that are on this Ontario executive team. I'm documenting them on a ceaseless basis regarding what is the shutdown of that airport. While they're stalking flying over this bank, the entity is demonstrating the fact that it's a threat to the public. In addition to doing so with gang stalking immigrants that are enemies to this country, and they reside here. Okay, we have enough ingrown enemies that are sitting in positions of government, and they despise this country and the laws that protect you and your rights and your privacy and your human rights. You're talking about those that can very easily be shipped right back to wherever they came from to terrorize whatever land that they were flown out from, because that's where they're going. Okay, this is very serious with regard to the mental illness of the entity that's engaging in criminal activity, and I'm exposing that, and the entity resorts to more and more violence. Speaking to their mental illness, that's a psychopath that's stalking in a plane. These are psychopaths that are stalking and going out of their way with regard to what is not having any personal life in their own business. They center everything that they're doing around me. They come and circle around the block around me to come touch Erica Spencer, where they are all obsessed with me. They come out of their homes when I'm sleeping outside to come stalk me. They're all pacing around me while a whole fake sun remains over me. Okay? The entity is going out of its way to maintain plane activity where no plane activity is ever going to occur in the way in which I'm documenting it, to monitor, to stalk me. They don't have any control. This is severe mental illness. And these are enemies that are going to be shipped out of this country, okay? I want to be clear. There are the entities engaging in that, and while the government flies over by a commercial plane, that's the government that's engaging in sexual assault and battery. That's the government that's engaging with assault with a deadly weapon. That's the government that's engaged in what is harassment and battery in concert with these same demons that are committing sex offenses on behalf of that government. And they're each, respectively, going to be prosecuted for it, okay? So this demon engages in a sex offense molesting, and this demon is also monitoring while the entity provides amplified noise. License 39663U1. Stalking and is present on the surveillance cameras of Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue. Wells Fargo's business is going to be used to prosecute Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is in the midst of what is a federal RICO case. Amongst other things, your banking information is public. The Nephilim are fully aware of how much money's in your account. Your conversation with your banking institution is not private. The entity that is gang stalking is the entity that's violating your privacy rights pertaining to your banking. And the fact that the entity is gang stalking while I'm in front of what is a bank, while the entity is gang stalking with the entity that's keeping me under surveillance, while I walk into Wells Fargo and I engage in any transaction with Wells Fargo in the same way that my information is exposed, so is yours. The fact that the government is stalking over the Wells Fargo while I'm here is speaking to the absence of any coincidence. They are stalking with that same government that's stalking by planes and helicopters everywhere that I'm going. It is an ongoing system, and they will be prosecuted for the violence inherent to their pattern of conduct. They're stalking, they're touching while they're stalking in perverted manners, they're stalking obsessively in demented ways, they're stalking in ways that you've never heard of, such as with engineer light, 90GE002, exhibiting mental illness and stalking with the airport, and doing so in furtherance of murder, and committing what is sexual assault and battery, and doing so with the level of impunity that should alert you. These are demons that do not hesitate. Flying a UPS plane and crashing it in Kentucky is an act of violence. They are engaged in gang stalking with that same measure regarding impunity, regarding your life, regarding your safety. Crashing into what is a human being, an American citizen that's on a skateboard, whether he's on the sidewalk or whether he's in the middle of the road, they knew exactly where he was at, and killing that person and speeding and driving into the middle of the road is the same impunity with which they are gang stalking, and they have disregard for your life. This is a warning while you're also witnessing me prosecute, and under the law there are things called malice and impunity, and not only the sexual violence, not only the criminal activity, but the way in which the entity did the disregard and pursuant to knowledge. That's all relevant. That's why I point that out. But you need to know that they're murderers, and they're out here seeking to take your life. They're out here seeking to threaten and terrorize you, and that same disregard, you're looking at it on the news. They are the Nephilim. They are murderers, and it's not exaggerated when you're looking at that impossible light. You're looking at the environment that I'm around, and you're in that same environment. It's not the natural environment, and that's where the Nephilim are, and they're psychopaths. There are psychopaths engaging in more and more sexual violence. They're whipping around this block to molest on me. Ooh, she thinks that that's offensive. Let me go do that. That's what these sex offenders are engaging in. That's their purpose. While they're obsessively stalking. They're stalking. And they come from other territories, other countries around the world to come keep us under surveillance, to come make money, come start a business in California. That's how they're engaging in surveillance. Okay? P.O.C. 8ULU264, 5EZH201. This is the entity that's going to be prosecuted, and this is an entity that's going to be put in the institutions where they belong. They've been locking up American citizens, kidnapping them, defaming their character in order to do so, and then stealing whatever it is that they want from them, taking their life, their identity, or just killing them altogether. Okay? Somebody that's well accomplished writing a book, and somebody that is in every regard an accomplished individual, and they end up dead, falling from an 18-story building, and then their family is the one that survives them. That's a murder. That was a murder. That's a murder. This is the Nephilim that don't think twice about molesting, engage in sexual violence. Don't think twice about stalking. Don't think twice about it being on video and being put on the internet and going to federal court for it in the future. Don't think twice about it. They also don't think twice about mass murder using planes. They don't think twice about murder by gang stalking police departments. They don't think twice about it. They are telling you who you are. They are telling you who they are. You who are listening, that means demons are listening, and I already know that. They are telling you who they are. They're telling you who they are. This is P.O.C. I'm prosecuting the Nephilim. This is a warning to you, and it's also a warning that Christ Jesus is coming back, and he's going to judge this. And they already know what the sentence is for them. Scripture has said what the sentence is for them, and they're already dead. They already know what the sentence is for them. This is P.O.C. It's currently 8:28 p.m. (8:31 p.m.) and not flying over Wells Fargo anymore, where I'm at Wells Fargo, where Wells Fargo is what would be south of me. Wells Fargo is now north of me, and the entity's not flying over Wells Fargo like they were, stalking me with all those demons whose license plates I documented as they are sharing in a massive sex offense. That's an orgy that I did not permit the Ontario International Airport to subject me to. That's an orgy, a demonic orgy, where they're all touching on me together, sexually violating my person together, while they're also all stalking. Not only did I not invite them to touch me, I did not consent to them to sexually violate me. While they're all monitoring together, they're all sexually violating you together. While they're all monitoring together, they're sharing assault with a deadly weapon together. They're stalking together. That's why the entity is flying over me while I'm sitting at the square. This is where you'll see me now. I just took a picture. They're flying over my head while I'm sitting in front of the clock. They're not flying behind me over the Wells Fargo, because they were stalking me. Just like the people at the state are stalking me. Just like you know that they're stalking while you see that impossible light appearing in the dark, by the way. That's in the dark. That's the engineered light. That's the specific environment. That's the illusion where the Nephilim, those are demon-possessed people, the spirit of Satan fills their vessels. It doesn't get any more vivid than that. I can't make it any more clear than that to you. These are demons. I'm prosecuting them for criminal activity. And it's not a defense in court. But you need to understand that these are sick people. This is wicked, evil conduct, and it's that which the entity sought to murder me and keep concealed. And now you're looking at them be crazy out loud in front of everyone, including by stalking as an airport. Now you're analyzing that and paying attention to what I've already stated is a pattern of conduct. They're not flying over the bank like they were concerned with moments ago. As I move, so does the plane activity, and they are stalking in doing so. Stalking so precise to me that it's relevant and relative to where I go, in the direction I go as I go there, as opposed to them doing the same thing that they were doing regardless of where I go. Okay? It's the same thing with regard to the natural environment. The entity is engaging in what is entirely unnatural while they are stalking with that light that you see on the top of that building. And supposedly the headlights are what's aimed on the building, on the ground. That's what they're all engaging in while they're lined up, parked in the Wells Fargo parking lot. And a demon is inside mopping the floor and turning the lights on and on. And the demons are stalking by flying over that bank in more than one plane. with regard to what is impunity. Hey, I'm stalking and I'm going to keep on stalking. That's what you're telling the federal court. I just want to be clear. They're getting all of the messages. You are going to be prosecuted. That's what you're stating. They don't understand how your conduct, your criminal activity is analyzed in court, but you're speaking volumes to a court, a federal court, that's not going to go light on terrorism. And they're certainly not going to go light on the mentally ill that conspire murder as a population. They're not going to go light on that. I just want to let the entity, you hear that plane activity, it's 8:34 p.m. The plane activity is over me. Just like it was at the bank moments ago while demons commit a mass sex offense. They do the same thing concerning knowledge about me when my vagina is exposed in the bathroom. And I'm showing you these demons that are engaging in surveillance by stalking in the path. That's a psychopath that's demon possessed. Okay, breathing all heavy and getting all excited and starting this psychopathic pacing the moment I walk into the bathroom because I'm going to get nude, because I'm going to pull my panties down, because my vagina is going to be exposed. They start pacing around in planes. They start shooting around engineer light. They start pacing all around and outside of the bathroom. They're making sure they're obsessively stalking in the path. That's how obsessed these demon-possessed people are. While they maintain that's ritualistic conduct. And it's also perverted while you're going to analyze the mentally ill people who are demon possessed. It's perverted, it's predatory, it's sexually motivated, it's also criminal because it's stalking, and it's stalking by a government. This is terrorism. It's gang violence. It just so happens to be the fact that they're demons, and guess what? Headline news, this is the Nephilim. This is the Nephilim. That's what they're doing in the bathroom. What you see them doing outside, all of that is concentrated in a bathroom. While Myra is sitting at the circulation desk, and she wants you to see her and only sitting at that chair, and that nothing else concerning her is going on because that's all you see her do. These are demons. Myra's monitoring my vagina while another demon is stalking, going in and out of the male restroom, maintaining surveillance outside of the women's restroom to make sure they're stalking in the path. Communication devices, monitoring, maintaining engineer light inside of that bathroom, maintaining amplified noise inside of that bathroom. And these psychos are pacing back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth above the bathroom, besides the bathroom, in front of the bathroom, in and out of the bathroom, monitoring, stalking, fixated on my genitalia. Engaging in sexual violence, which is inherent to gang stalking. Absolutely no, you do not need to maintain any immigrants in this country participating in gang stalking, and they all are. Every single last one of them. All of them. This is what's been going on for a very long time. This is a criminal, if you will, agreement with other countries. While immigrants are let into this country to get an education, to start a business, to start a contract with the U.S., with a U.S. business, they're engaging in surveillance. They're the Nephilim. They make money while gang stalking. How are you engaging in the pattern of conduct starting a business in the state? What do you think Wells Fargo is? What do you think Starbucks is? It's a business. You can come from any other country and start a business online as well. And you are engaging in surveillance. And these are demons that are coming from other parts of the world. And those demons that they're monitoring with wherever land that they come from, they know what's going on with your genitalia. We are under heavy surveillance. That's what you need to understand. Heavy surveillance. While I'm in Ontario, California, and I'm exposing criminal monitoring is demonic. And it's also relevant to what is invisible, spiritual, demon possession. Demon possession, when you're speaking to one demon-possessed person, you're talking to everybody. Everybody that's got that same condition, all the demon-possessed. You're talking to Satan, who is using a person. They share knowledge. Okay? These are the things that people make movies. You know, they didn't make that up. They didn't make it up. They're not creative at all. They're demons. They're making movies about what they are and what they do. They didn't make these things up. And I'm not making it up. You've seen The Fake Sun. I couldn't make that up. You've seen the entity stalking me by helicopters, multiple police departments. I didn't make that up. And honestly, my mind doesn't work that way to just come up with. I find that to be psychotic. So psychotic that I knew that I had to document that. I knew it. Document it in a manner that is unquestionable. You are not reasonably questioning that. There's no way. I'm not making that up. And they're so crazy that they're doing that. This is the entity that's engaging. When you're speaking to a demon-possessed person, you're talking to all the demon-possessed people together. You're talking to Satan. Satan that's all around the Ontario Town Square, one's talking to their homegirl, one's talking to their boyfriend, one's sitting in the car, one's on the phone, one's walking the dog, one's running around the field with their kids. You're talking to all of them while they're not physically addressing you. You're talking to all of them. You're talking what Satan is surrounding. When you are engaged in the pattern of conduct, you're engaging in what is creating a business where surveillance is underway amongst the demon-possessed, who are encountering you, who are studying you, who are stalking you, as you're going to prosecute the government that's monitoring. Because the government has no warrant or probable cause to maintain a malicious means of surveillance, which is what the Ontario Police Department are doing. The Nephilim that know that they're being disbanded. These demons know they're going to prison. And they also know that they're mentally ill. They're watching me expose that all over the internet. While I've also documented them engaging in acts of violence against me. And they're going to prison for it. And they're not going to prison for 6 months for that. Okay, this is an entity, and Ontario Police, again, they're crossing path. They're stalking conspicuously on Lemon Avenue, stalking with the people of the state. Under the fake moon, where the entity stalked with impossible light on the side of Wells Fargo, while the fake Ontario Police are stalking me. And you already know that. Okay, the entities engaging in that when they're doing so while they are listening to me, Ontario Police, this is why they're going to prison. They're listening to me, they're stalking, conspicuously stalking while they're listening to every word that I say. And the federal courts are aware of that. So they're aware of with regard to your intentional communication of an unlawful threat, because nobody's imagining anything, Satan. They know that I'm not making up anything, Satan. In fact, you're going to be committed for your criminal acts committed against me, Satan. That's what's happening. And Satan's referring to itself as an Ontario Police Department. Satan's being disbanded. Satan's going to be prosecuted as a terrorist. Satan's going to be made an example of in California. And that's what's in an Ontario Police Department vehicle, communicating an unlawful threat. And that's because Satan is a psychopath. It's the spirit of mental illness. Engaging in conduct, which they're going to answer for in court. And when they're standing in court, they're going to be silent. Because a psychopath doesn't have a logical, reasonable answer, and they certainly don't have a defense for their demented conduct that they intended to get away with by murder. They intended to get away with it. The entities engaging in this, and it's 8:41 p.m. This is relevant while the entities engaging in that P.O.C. in a specific environment. When you're speaking to one demon, you're speaking to all of them. So when you are from another country, you're starting a business in the United States, you are engaging in surveillance and you're providing what is intelligence, if you will. If you want to put the demonic activity in those terms, it's intelligence to a whole other part of the world. Okay, but like I stated, the Nephilim, it's not cultural, it's not racial, all right? It's not based on demographics. That's just how Satan operates with regard to maintaining separation amongst peoples, which is how he's able to conquer and divide. But it's also relevant to keeping you ignorant about what's actually going on regarding the spiritual realm. They're united, all races, okay? You have what are the entity that, but as I'm breaking down practically, you can engage in what is starting a business, and that's the cover for surveillance. In the same way that you open up a laundromat and that's your cover for your drug trafficking. You can open up a massage parlor and that's your cover for prostitution. You're engaging in what is surveillance in California, and you're doing so by starting a business. You're doing so by coming across the seas and engaging in what is the ability to start a business in the U.S., and that's another country keeping us under surveillance. Engaging, and the government knows it. Our government, the U.S. government, is aiding in that. You need to understand how much of a threat that is. Demons, and the way I've shown you, this is all I'm doing is connecting the dots for you, okay? This is not to instill fear. This is the information. You need to know it. I'm going to pass the information to you. The way in which you're showing the enemies of the United States, the Ontario Police Department, they have disdain for law and order, for your constitutional rights, your human rights, your right to be free from being terrorized, from being stalked on their behalf in a bathroom, engaging in stalking you day and night, in helicopters following you around. For what? That's a lot of money and resources, Satan. Boy, you're putting a lot of energy in to follow me around. All right, the entities engaging in that, and they're doing so while they are also simultaneously communicating to you, because I'm putting on the internet as I'm prosecuting and I'm going to enforce my rights in court, that they hate this country. You're a criminal, and you're not engaged in ordinary criminal activity. You're engaged in criminal activity that's un-American. That's literally antithetical to what your purpose is, and you intentionally took that position to get away with it, to maintain a whole system where you would be the last person ever suspected of it. In fact, if anybody dare accuse you, you're going to be in a position to put them in their place, if you will, to have them kidnapped, have them handled, have them contained. Gang stalking police, terrorists, prison, enemies of this country. Practically, enemies of this country while they're doing so with immigrants, outsiders that have been given a privilege to be here. And you're targeting an American citizen that's enforcing their rights where you don't have a right to target them in the first place. Enemies of this country, betraying American citizens with those that are outsiders, keeping us under surveillance together, sharing in hatred of those of us who are here. You need to understand the implications of what I've stated. And I hope that whoever is supposed to hear that, you will hear that. Okay? This is the P.O.C. This is regarding what are things to come, regarding what's been underway for a very long time, the illusion versus the reality. And gang stalking me is exposing what are the greater implications regarding what's happening in this country, regarding what our government's doing with other countries, regarding how it's underway and how it's able to infiltrate throughout the states. It's 8:45 p.m. The entity's stalking by flying over me at the Ontario Town Square while I'm sitting in front of the clock. And that's, you can just look at the video and look at the pictures. They're not flying behind me. And they're not going to. They're not maintaining any flights over the Starbucks, over the UNICARE Community Health Center. They're not flying over Holt Boulevard. And no planes that are taken off from the airport are engaging in that. And that's also clearly going to be, that's clearly the fact. And that's going to be a part of proving that the police, the fire department, the people of the state are stalking. Everybody at that apartment complex is stalking while the airport is stalking, flying over that apartment complex. The entity is engaging in what is exposing itself. That's already established. The entities engaged in this conduct, and you're understanding what are the greater principles you're getting from this. What are the greater implications? And the most relevant one, the one that you need to take away with, is that Christ Jesus is coming back, because these are the end times. The Nephilim is here. They've been here. They're being exposed now, but they've been here. They being demons, wreaking havoc, killing people, setting people up. This corruption is inspired by Satan. This is P.O.C. It's 8:46 p.m. Plane activity monitoring, 8:54 p.m. while I am trying to upload evidence that they're trying to hide documents on the phone. P.O.C. And by hide it, I'm using an app. I'm opening up a document, not a document, but a file with an app, a video file. And so when it's because I'm logged onto the internet. If I log off the internet, then I won't have that problem. But it doesn't matter. I should be able to do that. The entity shouldn't be keeping my devices under surveillance, but nonetheless. So I'm maneuvering around it. So while I open, I know that that's the problem. So while I'm going around opening it in another way, what you hear, that's harassment. You're going to prosecute for that. But the entity engages in what is flying over by plane, while I engage in trying to do what I should have been able to do, the way that it's designed to work. And as I go about doing it another way, the entity immediately flies over by plane. That's monitoring on your device. That's what the entity is doing when doing so by helicopter as well. It's the same thing. I showed you yesterday morning, that was at approximately 9:31 a.m., if I recollect correctly. Fake sun's over me at the Ontario Town Square, in the same position where the fake moon is by the clock over me. They fly over my head as I start accessing the files that I moved out of the Google Drive folder. It was evidence that I removed out of the folder because I saw the evidence was missing. So I moved everything out, and I was just going to re-upload everything back into it. So after I removed it all out, I go back in. I did it through the app, the Google Drive app. I explained this already, but I'm giving you an example as to what they're doing. When they're not only are they stalking, but they have a formula for what they're doing with regard to operating what you're doing on your phone. So because the noise and the presence and the light is affecting your devices. That's why it's there. That's why it's a whole fake sun and engineered environment, okay? And it's demonic as well. This is witchcraft, this is demonic, and it affects your devices. But the moment that after I remove it using the Google Drive app, because it's more efficient, you could do more with the app, all right? You could select everything at the same time and move it. Then I open it up in Google Chrome, and I see that the folders are still in, the files are still in the folder. And so when the moment I see that, they see it too, and immediately helicopter activity, meaning you were already stalking Satan. You were already there, number one. And I already know that you're stalking, and you that are witnessing this know that they're stalking as well, because the fake sun's over my head. That's not the natural environment. It's impossible. Okay, so the entities stalking and doing so pursuant to what I'm doing, what's happening on my device, because it affects your device, and they are very much obsessively consumed with controlling internet device uses, even when you're going to prison for it. You're going to prison for these things. While today, right now, at 9:31, oh, I gotta fly. I'm about to fly over. I don't care. I'm gonna do it. I don't care that she's recording video. They're fully aware. They're doing it anyway. It's going in court. These are the things you prosecute for. Terms that are legally relevant: malice, impunity. Okay, things that I have spoken to, which again, the notion of them, the idea of them, are not foreign. Things such as an impermissible threat. That's a legal line in the sand, if you will. Okay, the Ontario Police Department passed that years ago. The people of the state, this entity passed that years ago. But the rest of everyone else is going to learn what these demons thought that they were just going to spell their way out of. Voodoo, hoodoo, sex ritual, their way out of. Kill little kids, sacrifice little kids, their way out of. And you're not. There's no getting out of what is God's judgment, and he said that already as well. But nonetheless, that is P.O.C. while the entity is stalking by commercial plane, as I am going through and accessing a file in another manner, pursuant to what is monitoring that's ongoing on my phone. P.O.C. This is some demons sitting over here stalking in the path with light activity. This is what they're doing inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, stalking with light. It's mental illness. Okay? And under the guise of, oh, let's look at the snowflakes. Let's look at the light. These are psychopaths. They're demons. And again, those are the mentally ill that engage in, cold-hearted murder. In the same way that they're gang stalking and everybody knows what they're doing. You all know what they're doing. We all know what they're doing. And they're going to be treated like the threat to American citizens that they are. These demons are over here flashing light, stalking in the path while I'm using my device. That they're monitoring. This is what the demons are doing inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, sitting around pacing all around me all day long, while the entity keeps a fake sun over me all day long. And the entity has even little kids exhibiting this severe mental illness, all this flashing of light while they're stalking, going back and forth and back and forth. This is mental illness that will take your life. They will murder you. These are stalkers who are demon possessed. Their obsession with this light activity, it's a direct indicator regarding mental instability. I took a picture of these demons. They're stalking at the square. This is state action. P.O.C. License plate David Mary 77 Victor 71, paper plate. All of these license plates are gang stalking in relevant position. And they're doing so. They're sharing in what is sexual assault and battery, as I'm documenting it at Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is acting as the entire entity. I'm being stalked by not one person, but an entity. The people that are gang stalking throughout the state of California are not all at Wells Fargo around me. The entity is doing so by maintaining a gang. The gang is maintaining presence around me everywhere that I'm going at all times, in other words. Okay. The gang is essentially, if you want to think of it this way, they're always engaged in what is like double dutch, taking turns. That's what they're doing. Never abandoning relevant positioning, stalking. And that's all you're doing when you're monitoring. And that's all the entity is doing, is monitoring. It's not a question as to, well, maybe they're not stalking now because how do you know that they're monitoring? The entity is always monitoring in this specific environment. And I've shown you that with regard to the maintenance of a fake sun. That's also not changing when the entity covers up a fake sun in the first place. This is speaking to the reality of what's going on in this state. And under the law, you're stalking. That's the government that's monitoring. You're a stalker. You are stalking. And I've shown how they go to the extent to engage in what is stalking as you would see it with their own eyes, because they're never abandoning position. They're never staying away. They're never not there. They are literally stalkers. Okay? You're understanding the significance of monitoring, though. It's stalking. The government is stalking with no warrant and no probable cause. And they're engaging in an inhumane level of surveillance. It's inhumane and it's psychotic. P.O.C. These demons are sharing in sexual assault and battery as I'm reading their license plates. Okay? So it is not individualized. You are stalking on behalf of the state. The entity who's going to be identified as an individual is Mike Lorenz, is Derek Williams. These terrorist leaders that are at the heads of these terrorist organizations engaging in what is exposed criminal surveillance, not law enforcement. That's why when I go through their town, the helicopters and the fake sun comes out. That's why. They're engaged in surveillance, not policing. And the two are not the same. And the two do not have the same privileges under the law. Criminal surveillance, you don't have any due process rights as a police officer, and you're not that. You're a terrorist. And be prepared to be treated like an enemy of this country. Oh, terrorists get a day in court. They get a day in court. Yep, you're still entitled to that under the Constitution. When you're an enemy of this country, you're going to be prosecuted with the rights that a terrorist has. You have stripped you have removed yourself from the protections and the due process rights of a police officer. You don't have those. All that administrative tape, all that bureaucracy. Oh no, you're not a cop. You're a terrorist. And the irrebuttable presumption, that's not a legal conclusion regarding what is guilty before proven. That's a legal presumption. The pattern of conduct, you are outside, far outside of the bounds of any protections of a police department or a police officer. You will be treated and prosecuted as what is a terrorist who has to be proven guilty in court for it. You don't have those rights. You're out of that position. These are terrorists that are currently driving around in police vehicles and still stalking on video and podcasts in these helicopters associated with that agency. I'm going to, they don't get it, and they're not supposed to, because they're under my feet. They're already defeated and it's already done. That's why they're so far behind. Okay, that's why they can't control their emotions. That's why they're easily triggered and then engage in more criminal activity. Okay, and they're doing so as an entity. Everybody that's gang stalking, which is everyone, is engaging in gang stalking, gang violence in the name of that corrupt agency, the one that commits kidnappings, the one that commits what is criminal defamation, the one that does it so that the rest of that system is following that lead in order to engage in a cooperative act of kidnapping you and defaming you. They're going to prison. That's prison, nothing less. And it's terrorism in this country. Okay, because that's how the criminal justice system works. This is the abuse and the corruption of it. You're going to be prosecuted for that, for the size of that crime. All right, it is 9:07 p.m. And these are the license plates. License David Mary 77 Victor 71. David Mary 63 Xavier 82. These are paper plates. 7 Sam David George 965. 9 Thomas Paul Larry 646. 9 Thomas Yolanda Paul 691. 7 Xavier Mary Nancy 473. 8 Wendy Henry Charlie 994. George Indiana Apple Sam Mary, and then the symbol heart Mary. Gia's mom, I suppose that's supposed to mean. Gia's mom. GIASM heart M. License plate 6 Jerry Indiana Mary 966. License 9 Sam Victor Larry 520. License 8 Paul Indiana Xavier 590. License 7 Edward Robert Thomas 772. License 7 Barry Nancy Apple 769. License 8 Robert Xavier Paul 496. License 9 Barry Xavier 737. License, let me see. License plates. Let me see. You have, what is this third party license plate? 7 Sam 0 Zebra 619. What's so pathetic about them is that they're stalking me. And if you've seen, like, quote unquote gangster music and thugs, they play their loud music, they ride their big motorcycles, they drive their low drops, their low riders or whatever, and that's supposed to be the appeal of a gangster, right? A gangster is supposed to be somebody that's brave, somebody that's like big and strong, somebody that is impenetrable, right? This is a vagina monitoring, light slinging gargoyle who's stalking me, who's scared about what it is that I'm reading right now. And they are mimicking the appearance of a strong, gangster person, and you're nothing like that. You're a demon who is stalking me, and you need a whole team of demons to stalk me together. So I just want you to look at the reality versus the contrast that the demon possessed the Nephilim, because that's what that was. Driving around the perimeter, it doesn't get any more, I'm sorry, effeminate with regard to what's supposed to be a man. That's very, not only sophomoric, it's not only pathetic, it's very effeminate. I'm not looking at a man, I'm looking at a woman. This is a she, a she. That's a female move. That's supposed to be gangster. Is that what that's supposed to be? While you're stalking and you're speaking with noise like an animal, you're communicating ideas with noise like an animal. And why? Because you're stalking, and you know that you're stalking and that it's being documented. That's supposed to be gangster. I just want you to pay attention to that. This is the pathetic demon possessed. This is the Nephilim. This is what's out here murdering people, though. This is what's out here delighting in terrorizing people. And I find it to be particularly pathetic. Pathetic. A real one, an actual gangster, is one by themselves. A one-man team. And by the way, Christ only needs one. While demons by the masses, okay, shining and running. Coming out in the middle of the night, hiding behind in dark corners and stuff, coming in, shining you and speeding off. What in the gargoyle is that supposed to be? What is that? Okay, this is that certifiable conduct. That was audible activity. That's the Nephilim. While they're being documented. License 7 Sam 0 Zebra 619. License. Yeah, those are the license plates, including those that are recited in the videos that I include on the podcast. The entity that engages in what is assault with a deadly weapon, that's not an act of strength, okay? And it's also not based on don't be deceived because that's a black woman. That's why she was getting indignant and loud and violent. No, that's not a black thing. That's a demonic thing. Don't ever get that confused. I'm a black woman. I don't behave like that. And I never have. Okay? And there's also no explanation for it, even on the surface. So she took everyone, you're being documented. This is a demon. This is the Nephilim. This is a woman that's obsessed with my vagina. Okay? Has 3 kids, but is actually a homosexual predator. She's obsessed with my vagina. She's stalking and she's mad that she's not me. That's the reality. And she's enraged because that's the truth. She's sick that I'm breathing. She's sick that I know what she's doing. And she's also doing so as the government. I'm going to prosecute the government for that psychopath that I documented. But nonetheless, understand that that's not a show of strength. And on the surface, what are you going to tell the federal court? You're going to prosecute based on the illusions, okay? The illusion with regard to you have privacy regarding your license plate. Anyway, the entities engaged in the pattern of conduct, and because I took a picture of your license plate, oh, that's why you sought to run them over with your car while you have 3 kids in the vehicle. Okay, that's somebody that needs to be separated from those children, in addition to the fact that she's a demon-possessed, gang-stalking psychopath, a serial killer by way of life, okay? A violent person. I understand what I can imagine what those children are subject to, what they're being trained by, which is a demon. So that's the reality, though. That's not a black thing at all. And I want you to be clear, all these racial lines, all these stereotypes, these are demons that are training you to be racist. Let me just let you know that first. Let me just put that out there. These are demons that are training you to be racist, training you to believe that black men, no, demons that are in that color skin, perpetuating that stereotype for you to be conditioned by. And if you feed into it, you need Jesus. You don't feed into that because you're not judging anybody by their skin color. That's impossible to do in the first place. That's entirely ignorant to do, intellectually speaking, okay? But nonetheless, those are demons. Let me just give you some more insight. Those are demons that are specifically, strategically using the vessels that they are inside of to perpetuate this racist narrative. Racism is demonic. It's maintaining ongoing separation amongst people. This is how Satan is able to garner more power, to keep what is, again, conquer and divide. Those are demons that are engaged in both the demons that are white, talking about black people are nothing, and the demons that are also, black people are racist too. Those are demons, though. You need to understand that. That's a spirit. That's the Nephilim. These are all tactics of Satan is here. These are all of his tactics. You need to understand that. This Black Lives Matter movement in California, are you kidding me? This is the Nephilim. This is the Nephilim. These black folks are out here gang stalking with the so-called law enforcement, light slinging gargoyles all the same. And guess what? What you really need to understand, what I'm showing you, the truth of the matter is, all these gargoyles, they're united in one cause, one objective, in targeting the targeted individual. Oh, they're united. They're not racist then. They want you to be racist. They want you to be limited. They want you to be ignorant. They want you to be affected and conditioned. They want you to be deceived. You need to know another reason why you shouldn't be, besides the point that it's ungodly, that it's totally absurd and unintelligent. Only an ignorant, limited mindset would feed into that sort of doctrine, okay? That idea, those ideas regarding, and I'm not stating that as a black person, that's anybody. If you've ever traveled the world, I've traveled the world. There are people that come from all manner of backgrounds and have what is like, oh, you're missing out on people that come from all types of places, have all types of backgrounds that you cannot assume. You can't judge somebody by the color of their skin. But when you have a system that's run by the Nephilim, where they're maintaining a system of surveillance, and they maintain specific races and specific type of areas, and they perpetuate stereotypes that are even reiterated by those very races, all of them are demons. This is serving the maintenance of a specific type of society that they want to go in a specific direction. While this system is underway, it's Satan. It's the work of Satan. It's demonic. Racism is demonic in the first place. But let me just let you know that it has nothing to do with the fact that that violent psychopath who is obsessed with my vagina, she's a demon. It's not a black thing. It's not a black woman thing. It's not a angry, what is it, that Demons movie? Diary of a Black Woman. It's not a black woman's episode that no, it has nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing. That has what to do with what is inside of her. First of all, she's a demon. And second of all, you are trained by what you are brought up around. You're nature and nurture. Yes, but you're being natured and nurtured by black people who are demons. That's what they're never speaking about what is that invisible ingredient, and that is informing everything. Everything. I just want to let you know that. This is demonic. It's not a black thing. We have nothing in common. Okay? She's a light-slinging gargoyle and a undercover homosexual. She's both infuriated with me, and she's also sexually obsessed with me. That's actually what's wrong with her. And I'm referring to the act of violence that the government's going to be prosecuted for. Last night, engaging in what is assault with a deadly weapon. And somebody taking a picture of your license plate, which you must be paying real close attention to me to assume what I'm doing on my phone while I'm merely in custody of it and you're in front of me. And from that, you're trying to hit somebody with your car. That's a demon. That's the admission of gang stalking, by the way. That's the prosecution of the government right there. Right there. Right there. All right, this is P.O.C. The entities engaging in this P.O.C. and doing so with regard to a lot of the things that you will learn about the way in which a system is designed. A system that is satanically inspired, okay? It's 9:17 p.m. So in other words, this racist entity will utilize demons that are of the black race to to target you with the people that look like you, that, come from the background that you come from, surrounded by people that you're related to. This is how Satan is typically engaging what is attacking you and surrounding you. And it's because Satan is a racist. It's not funny, but that's the reality. This is why I'm stating, okay, so I laugh at what is pathetic, and Satan's tactics are pathetic. They're built on what is entirely ignorant. You have to be ignorant to feed into it. You have to be ignorant to be affected by it. That's why I tell you about what the purpose is and what they're doing. I'm showing you what they're doing. I've proven that that's the purpose. You are thereby informed about what's the true intent, and you also prosecute with that. You're thereby informed about what their intent is to affect you. When you're not ignorant about that anymore, it shouldn't be affecting you in the way that it might have before. Okay? This is just to help the ordinary target individual. Satan is out here obsessed with you. Satan wants attention from you, and it's pathetic. Get a life. You have 3 kids in the car. What are you doing? Why are you stalking me in the dark? Why? And then you're outraged because I know it, because I caught you, because I documented you, Okay, because you know about all the embarrassing things I say about the demons that I document. So in front of children, okay? Now, that's a whole other thing with regard to demons that procreate, okay? But nonetheless, it's still a horrible example what this demon is doing in front of, and this is state action. This is what a demon-possessed government is also endorsing. Mike Lorenz is monitoring all of that. Encouraging that, facilitating it, is directly engaged in it. That white man doesn't have to be standing there for me to prosecute him for what he is accountable for as a corrupt agency engaging in a pattern of conduct with the people of the state. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging, and the reason why I'm bringing in race is because I'm letting you know this is a way in which a satanic system is operating, but it has nothing to do with race because it's a spirit that's using race as a tool. That's it. So just want to be clear on that. All right, I'm going to digress. Those are the license plates that are included in the videos that I also include in the podcast. It's 9:20 p.m.
Alrighty, I want to show you what is, first of all, conspicuous stalking pursuant to the pattern of conduct. And this is also a picture of mental illness. Stalking is relevant with regard to what is stalking in the path. And this is stalking that is shared by the establishment Starbucks, by Chevron, ARCO, which are the means of criminal presence in the path. This is gang conduct right here. And it is concerted activity with the people of the state who are stalking with the people that are maintaining light activity, where they're maintaining what is the, let me zoom out. The impossible light activity that's coexisting with crossing a path. That's my shadow that's appearing way in front of me. And here's my shadow that's on the ground. The entity is stalking in the path, and this is as of 11:14 p.m. when I'm walking by. This demon is pursuant to stalking in the path upon my arrival and maintaining light activity. This is conspicuous stalking, which is an unlawful threat. This is unlawful in the way that it is occurring right now. I just want to be clear. The entity is engaging in conduct under the false notion that they are free to engage in what is being anywhere, including what they refer to as public property, but they're not exercising any rights under the Constitution. This is a facilitating venue where the entity is in a specific environment and they're engaged in what is surveillance. And this is state action. This third party's license plate that is acting in concert with the demons who are stalking in the path with impossible light. This is where, just with regard to this third party, this is mental illness that's shared by the demons that are pacing, stalking together as a population, and maintaining presence on the side of the road on behalf of the kidnappers. Mike Lorenz, this is agency. This is an agency. This is a third party. This is an entity that's engaging in conspicuously stalking and threatening your life, and doing so also, remember, because documentation is underway, so they are also aware of the fact that they're being documented, and that's what is also unlawful. This is relevant to the entity that is routinely engaged in this by gang stalking via Starbucks. Whether or not Starbucks is the guise under which a demon is gang stalking, Starbucks is going to be prosecuted anyway because they're part of the pattern of conduct. But I want to document this third party's license plate that's engaged in what is ongoing surveillance as of 11:14 p.m. It's 11:28 p.m. right now. This third party's license plate is 9K. That's impossible light. They are stalking me. And so are they, the people of the state. This is demonic light activity, and that's on behalf of the state. That they're a co-conspirator of murder. They are a third party, and they're engaging in what is criminal facilitation, which is a threat to an American citizen's life. This is also mental illness. That impossible light is indicative of mental illness and the flashing of light. This is what Leonida Builders Incorporated engages in. This is what Griffith Company are engaged in. This is what Sunbelt, the demons that are stalking under a fake sun while the demons are walking in and out of the library and flashing of light. The entities engage in that while they maintain peculiarized light and are stalking in the path via aerial surveillance. This is the entity that's going to be prosecuted. Again, this license plate is 9 Henry Kelly Charlie 206, engaged in what is conspiracy to murder by engaging in surveilling an American citizen with the government. And it is executed in the specific environment where they are together. This is surveillance. Your headlights don't cause any light fanning. You see that? And also, their headlights are not blinding on the back of that car. Their headlights are not going to touch me from Chevron. This is the entity that's engaged in targeting together, and Starbucks is a part of that pattern of conduct. This is impossible light activity pursuant to what is gang stalking, and it's a threat to your life. And that is, again, co-conspirator to murder, license 9 Henry Kelly Charlie 206. I'm going to prosecute the population. I'm going to prosecute this third party. They have been engaged in what is the pattern of conduct, stalking in your face. This is what the government is not going to get away with doing. This is what they're doing all day long at the library. This is what they're doing while they're at work. This is what a population is doing with the government that is kidnapping you and then
defaming you in order to take your life ultimately. And they do it through the people that are stalking you right in your face. This is not lawful. There's no warrant or probable cause. They are under false impressions upon engaging in what is obvious criminal conduct, so you can know what they are, you can know what they're doing, and you're learning how you're going to prosecute. Under the laws as they exist, this is a population of demons. Okay? This is P.O.C. They are together engaging in surveilling me together. And Mike LORENZ is going to be prosecuted as a terrorist leader. He is the reason why the people of the state are in the middle of the night stalking, because that's light activity under the fake moon that's over my head, where the fake sun rises in alignment to me, and impossible light activity, which is not the product of headlights, is coexisting with crossing a path and a demon that's maintaining their flashers on while they've been parked for over 15 minutes, stalking me since I arrived at this bus stop. That's the state. Again, co-conspirator to murder, license 9 Henry Kelly Charlie 206. Jason Isaac Fields, Eric Spencer, Tracy Banks, every kidnapper, the people of the state that engaged in targeting me, they're going to federal prison, and Mike LORENZ is being prosecuted amongst every other terrorist leader. But that's a terrorist leader over a terrorist organization that's committed kidnapping. And they are the reason why this lawlessness is underway. That's a threat to your life, and that's exactly why you're going to prosecute the domestic terrorists that are demons. The people of the state. They don't have any warrant or probable cause. The government doesn't to have maintained surveillance through this public corruption. That's why you're going to prosecute for stalking in the past with light activity. In plain sight. Plain sight. Co-conspirator to murder, license 9 Henry Kelly Charlie 206. That specific environment is the ability to prosecute. It's actionable. They're fools because they're right in the path for me to get their license plate and document them. And you're going down as a co-conspirator of murder and a terrorist. And if you're not a natural born citizen, you're being deported. And you're getting your co-defendants, whom you don't have to know, in the city of Ontario, in the state, getting them deported as well. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:31 p.m. Those are the demons that are obsessed with me, obsessed with my vagina, stalking me in the bathroom, stalking on the side of the road with their turn flashers on when they're not turning anywhere. It's a means of facilitation while these demons are stalking together. This is mental illness. That's mental illness. That's mental illness. Okay? Those are the demons that know exactly who I am. They committed, I want to be clear, assault with a deadly weapon together. Engage in what is stalking with light, demons that engage in it and have the ability to refrain from engaging in it. And they will not stalk you in your face like they're doing now. They're going to prison. They're being deported. They will be prosecuted as terrorists in the U.S. This is P.O.C.